Oh, yes. Hello, everybody. It's so good to see you all. Pop Culture Curator here. And it is a nice, warm Monday evening, or at least it is here for me, which means it's back to our weekly review of Lost in Space. And first of all, I'd like to say hello to everybody in the chat. I know some people are coming in early. I really appreciate that. I also have a poll in the chat if you'd like to vote on this episode, if you've seen it, or if you can wait till vote if you'd like to vote after the stream and vote on the stream itself. The decision is totally up to you. Hello, Jill. Good to see you.
Hello.
Hello.
So happy to have you here, Jill.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Okay, so it looks like PvP came in early, said hi, Pop. We posted. Yes, I did post the link.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know I had arrived.
Okay, Ploxford says, "Hail, hello, Ploxford. So good to see you." Stream disclaimer alert. Yes, I will be reading the disclaimer. Unfortunately, I have to, for the good of everybody. Ploxford, item 1, topic diligence. Ploxford, item 2, opinions are just that. Ploxford, item 3, this is Pop Culture Curator's stream. Well, I'd like to look at it as everyone's stream. I'm just here to share with you. And Jill's back again. I don't know if I accidentally bumped her out. And item 4, the panel.
No, it wasn't you. It was me. I made the error.
But don't we all? I do it all the time. Ploxford says, "Bye. Please hold opinions until the end. We're wrapping up the stream." Mad Scientist, so good to see you, my good friend, Mad Scientist. Hi, all. Happy Monday. Glad you could join us. I hope you're feeling well, Mad Scientist. And Hungry Boy, glad you're here. Hungry Boy is doing a little bit of artwork right now. And he says, "Hiya, folks. I'll be mostly listening while I paint. Best to all, and hiya, dear, at Ploxford. And hiya, Mad Scientist. So cool."
Hey, great to know.
Ploxford says, "Hail." Yeah, I know. I'm so glad, Hungry. And Hungry, if you're able to join us tomorrow at this time at 6 p.m. Pacific time, I finally have the horror intro completed, and I'm excited so I can finally introduce that tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
The horror stream. Yeah, I've been promising Nemesis of Eden for 7 or 8 weeks, and I finally was able to complete it.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. That'll be fun to see.
Well, I hope so. Well, it's nothing fancy, but it's better than not having a intro at all, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I guess anything, is better than nothing at all, right? So.
Yeah. Yes, and anything's better than that stock YouTube 30-second countdown. That's why I like to make my own.
Yeah, YouTube does have some pretty sucky countdowns, don't they?
Well, they do have a lot more out there. If you want to go looking, you can. There's several. I just like to make my own, so it's customized to the show that we're doing.
Yeah, well, it's more fun. It's like the Lost in Space intro, on Mondays. I mean, that's lots of fun to see it, and it's fun to see every week. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, and just like the Star Trek intros too. It's good to have something that relates to the show. Ploxford says, "Hail, Stream Elements." Hopefully, Stream Elements could say hail back. And hail, Mad Scientist, and hungry for UFO to never suffer a reboot. And Ploxford says, item 6, links can wait until after reviews as they invite audience away from the stream. Yes, thank you for sharing that, Ploxford.
Good point.
Gorilla's going to be running a little late tonight. He had to go running. It's that time of year. He had to go pick up a lawnmower. So 45 minutes, keep tab on the shots. I will do my best, Gorilla, and I will keep up with the chats. I usually have Gorilla help me with the chats, but I'll do my best to keep up until he's able to join us. Ploster says your ownership of stream immediately defers who to follow. Ploster says, hail, Resolute Germ. And Hungry Boy says, yay, well done at Pop Culture Curator, can't wait. Oh, well, I think, Hungry, I think you'll find a few Easter eggs in there, too, in that intro you might like.
Ah.
And, excuse me, I'd like to say especially hello to my fellow panelists. PvP, how are you doing today?
Doing okay. Yeah, it's always nice when Monday goes by fairly quickly, which it did today. So that was good.
Well, that's definitely always a good thing. I bet it's nice to get off early too, right?
Yeah, I like to get out at 5, so I do that on Mondays and Fridays. I figure, it's a good way to start the week and a good way to end the week. And besides, I always want to be here for Lost in Space. So, and then, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 o'clock. But it's, I can sleep in a bit on those mornings. So it all evens out pretty good.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And welcome, Antiderivative Jill. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing wonderful. Having a good day.
So did you have a good Mother's Day, Jill?
Yeah, it was great. It was good.
Oh,
I
awesome.
got to spend time with my kids.
Well,
and they're the reason I'm a mom, so that's fun.
Well, that's true. I can't argue with that fact.
Mother's Day is a great day to.
Glad you had fun.
Mother's Day is a great day to spend with your mothers. If you have that ability out there, guys, I hope you did do so, and I hope you all enjoyed yourself. My mother passed away, so when Mother's Day passes, or when Mother's Day every year when it comes, I always think of her.
Yeah,
so
me too.
It helps remember as well.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
True.
Yeah.
Well, it's part of life. You come and you go.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But she had a good sense of humor, so I always tell everybody my mom's pushing up daisies. She kicked the bucket in 2002.
Mine was about 6.5 years ago, so I'm not sure what year that is. I lose track of things, but yeah.
I remember. I'm bad with years. Go ahead, Jill.
I'm so lucky enough to have mine. We talk every day.
That's exactly the way to do it. Yes, and treasure that.
It should be. Yeah.
Yeah, treasure that. I used to touch my mother every day too, and I miss that. I still remember her voice. I wish I had it on tape or videotape or something, but I don't. So
yeah,
this is my memory.
Really.
Lemon Pie. Hail, Floxer. Hello, Lemon Pie. Glad you could join us. And Hungry Boy says, hi, Citrus Street at Lemon Pie. Okay. And then Pie says, hungry like the wolf. Hey there. Again, it's a reference to the song.
Yeah, I remember that song.
Hey, he was one of my favorite video directors. Did a lot of the good ones. Fleetwood Mac, and some of the big ones.
Yeah, well, that was Duran Duran, right? So yeah, I remember that one.
Yes, I was Duran Duran. And tonight we are going to be covering season 1, episode 9 of Lost in Space, the Oasis. This episode originally aired on November 10th, 1965. I've got my book here, Lost in Space, the authorized biography of a classic sci-fi series by Mark Cushman, which I'll be referring to.
Excellent. Jill, I want to ask Jill a quick question. What was that wiki, Lost in Space wiki you posted like a month ago? I've lost it. I thought I put it in my favorites, but I can't seem to find it. Could you put that in the private chat? I'd like to take a look at that.
Well, I will if I can find it again.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I thought for sure I'd put it in my favorites list, and I just can't see it when I checked tonight when I got home. So, yeah. Because it was such a good wiki. Like some websites just aren't that good, right? But that was a real good one. Because I want to look up I want to take a look at Peter Packer's episodes since he did write the one we're going to be reviewing tonight. So.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he did. Peter Packer wrote a lot.
Yeah, I think he did.
And he worked on the show right up to the very end. Because I know writers come and go, and some of them left early, but Peter Packer worked. He was there all the way to the very end.
Yeah, he was pretty much a staple on Lost in Space for sure. He did write a lot. Yeah,
that is true. Lemon Pie says PvP dances to "Hungry Like the Wolf" while holding his glass of eggnog. Rumor has it.
Well, the eggnog is all gone now, so I'm out of luck until
Oh, darn.
yeah, I gotta wait till like next October or whenever they start stocking it on the store shelves again. But that's okay.
And when it goes on sale again.
That yeah, well, I doubt I'll ever get that kind of deal again. But like a carton of eggnog is so expensive now. I don't buy it as much as I used to. You know.
I totally agree
Anyway,
with you.
let's not get too sidetracked.
But
I know I can wander off, so that's
Well,
the
I don't know if it's the same website, but here's a link to a list of Peter Packer's episodes.
okay.
Lemon Pie says, hello, Pop, Jill, and PvP. Hello, Lemon Pie.
Hello, Lemon.
And Antiderivative Jill just dropped a link there for Irwin Allen about Wikipedia, Wikipedia. And so there it is. If you guys like to check that out, if you're Lost in Space fans like we are, I think you'll find a lot of exciting information there.
Oh yeah, this was
Yeah,
the one I
and
was
of
looking
course,
at before.
it's always
Yeah.
important to be careful when you're on any type of wiki to double check your sources.
I
Right,
think
because
this is
remember, everybody's written by just anyone and everyone. So yes.
yeah. Thanks, Jill. But I think this is different than the one you posted before because I think
Yeah,
it's a different site. It looks different. So, but
I'm
hey, the information's
Oh,
here, so that's good. Boy, he did
yes,
write a
I'm sure we
lot.
can run across the other one eventually.
yes. On short notice, that was my goal.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you, Jill. I really do appreciate it because I wanted
You're
to see
welcome.
what episodes he'd written. He must have done like what about 25? It looks like here, something like that.
I haven't looked it up exactly how many yet. But this maybe this is his first episode, right? Of this show that we've seen, or no?
No, this is
No,
the
no,
third.
The
no. He did
third,
the
duh.
derelict and welcome stranger as well.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Thank you guys. That's why I have you guys here. Um,
Well,
and now,
thank Jill for the list.
absolutely. And now I'm going to cover the obligatory disclaimer. I apologize in advance. Um, but it goes a little something like this. Welcome to the show. Any and all opinions are welcome. However, we ask that you give your preliminary opinion at the beginning and save your final opinion for the end of the stream when we vote. We welcome questions throughout the viewing, but we ask that you don't come on the panel to just pick the presentation apart. If you did not like the movie at all, please join from the chat and share your thoughts and vote in the poll. Panel members, please remember to stay on topic as much as possible. Also, be polite and respectful to others. Please keep your language appropriate for the rating of the video we are covering. Thank you and enjoy the stream. And we have the wonderful slide here as presented by Jill. She does the hard work and all the. I'm sure it's very tedious. So once again, Jill, thank you for these slides.
You're welcome. And I do have quite a few for this week.
Oh, excellent. And here we pick up from where we left off last week, as the narrator says last week, as you'll recall. So we had Don working on the water unit here. This is how they're able to collect the water. Apparently, they're running very short on water, which this episode will cover. It kind of reminds me of an episode of Gilligan's Island that was similar, where they were looking for water.
Definitely feels like a Gilligan's Island episode, except for
Yeah, I kind of thought
Yes,
except
it
for
that
does. This
myself. Yeah, it was a little
right.
different
This episode is
than
a
the
little
first day.
right. Yeah, this episode leads a little more into the fantasy element, and this is where
Yeah.
Irwin Allen. This is kind of his test run for his show Land of the Giants which will come later on.
Oh.
oh,
Mhm.
well,
And
that
in
makes
fact,
sense.
yes, and in fact, in next week's episode, we get one of the stars from Land of the Giants. So here's we have Don. I'm trying to remember what they call this water unit. It's a. I remember Don said so, but what they're doing is
Oh.
they're working on this, and then suddenly there's an earthquake, and
What do you
Judy
want to
runs.
know? What's
I'm
what?
trying to remember what they called this water device.
Oh, okay.
I remember he said that what he's doing is making sure it's insulated to cut down on evaporation as much as possible. But what it's basically doing, it's drilling for water.
They call
But
it the water conversion unit.
that's it. Thank you. Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Excellent.
So that's when we get our little earthquake and everything starts shaking. Fortunately, Judy jumps clear, but Don's trying to finish coupling the hose and getting it tight. And just as he does, this rock falls and traps him between these two other rocks. As you can see, it's directed by Sutton Rowley. I'll have a little bit of information about him also as well. A quick intro here is the sources of the water on the planet are drying up. The Robinsons have rigged up, there it is, conversion unit, but it doesn't supply enough for their needs. It becomes vital to find a new source. They set off in search and find an oasis. So I don't want to give away too much. In fact, 3 years later is when he makes Land of the Giants. So here's what we have: Professor Robinson helping Don get freed from the boulder that had landed on his foot. Go
Using the
ahead, Jill.
simple machine of a lever.
A good old lever. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. They didn't call the robot to come over and help. But
Probably
that's
one of the
great.
more scientific parts of the episode, actually.
Absolutely. And there we get our stock shot. By the way, you guys will notice that the entrance to the Jupiter 2 there, it changes. Sometimes it's got like branches and foliage laying around the exterior. Sometimes it doesn't, depending on the episode and the stock footage. So we have Professor Robinson reading from his notes. Let's see here. Although we have survived the earthquake and major West injuries have fortunately proved to be minor. This is from the script, so I can't remember if it exactly this is what was in the film that we see before the camera. Although we have survived the earthquake and major West injuries have fortunately proved to be minor, the eccentric orbit of this hostile planet has now confirmed our fears that its sun would soon be a pitiless enemy. The land shrivels under its blinding heat, and the conservation of water has become our greatest problem. So here we are with the families preparing dinner. Or I guess, no, that was when we had the earthquake. I'm sorry. That was when they had the earthquake. And hello, Mikey. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Hi, guys. Hello, Jill.
All right.
Hi,
Good to
hi,
see you,
Mikey.
Mikey.
Hello, Mikey.
Hi.
How's your sound doing, Mikey? Your mic. Hello.
Did we lose him?
Oh no, I'm here.
How's it? Right. How's the audio on your mic working, Mikey? Is it working okay?
Yeah, it's working fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I mean you
I just
can
want to
hear
make sure
me
it's.
clearly,
I
right?
just want to make sure it doesn't start cutting out like it did on the Gilligan's Island stream. If it does, I
Oh
might
no,
have
no.
to.
Well,
Might
if
have
it
to
is,
mute you.
I got headphones in, but right now it
Well,
seems to be
headphones
clear
don't
enough.
don't headphones don't prevent you dropping out from the stream. That's a
Right.
different.
They,
That's a different
but,
thing.
but they do prevent the echo, so I'm grateful for that.
That is true. So here's where the Robinsons are talking about the heat. So as we established in the first few episodes, that it does get very hot on this planet. And he says that Professor Robinson says the temperature has dropped by 2 degrees, and Judy says, "What use is that?" And they're apparently playing a board game, a space-themed board game. We don't really get the name of it or much detail.
They spend they spend a lot of time in this
Go
episode
ahead, Jill.
outside. Is it always 145 degrees throughout the entire episode? Because they would be dead.
That's what I was thinking too, right? Because you're right, they do spend a lot of it outside, and they don't explain that at the very beginning here. They do, but then when they go outside a lot, you don't really see them sweating a lot. So yeah, I think that might be a
Yeah,
little lack of detail going on there.
that was one problem I had with the episode was like I liked that it went back to the earlier episode where the irregular orbit of the planet was, wreaking havoc with the temperatures up and down, right? I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that's
But
good.
but it seemed a little weird that they didn't like roast or something, right? Like it kind of was. They kind of brought it in at the start of the episode, and then that whole plot line seemed to kind of drop away
And they
after
didn't
a
really
while.
suffer much from it. They just were very
Yeah.
thirsty.
Well, yeah,
Well, they
unlike
do
that
say
other
here.
time, it was
They
really
do
bad.
say here in this scene that the temperature has dropped 2 degrees. So perhaps more time has passed in between now and when they start going outside, where the temperature has dropped more.
Could be.
That's possible.
And
Yeah.
the
It has
other,
to drop a lot.
and I was just gonna say the other thing about the series when it first started was when they crashed on the planet in the first place. I think it was you know uh, the Robinson dad who said that the conditions were adaptable. I mean, that they could actually live on it, breathe the air and everything. So I think they were just kind of making uh, an exaggeration of temperatures. Maybe that's what they were doing most of the time. But they were able to live there without dying, or like you said, Joe, bursting into flames.
Well, it wasn't really an exaggeration of temperatures. They realized that the crazy orbit the planet is in, the temperatures go from one extreme to the other. So they've
Right.
learned to stay indoors when it gets really hot until the temperature subsides.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
And let me get caught up on the chat really quick before I get too far behind. Gorilla's Random Thought says condenser, I believe he means. And Mikey says the lowered one. Sorry, I'm late. Better late than never, Mikey. But you're here now, and that's all that matters. Mikey says hi, Lemon. Mikey says hi, Jill. Wait, if I can click on that. Mikey says hi, Pop. Ploxer says hail, Mikey. Mikey says hi, Ploxer. And I don't want to show stream elements. Ploxer says condenser would gather moisture from the ambient environment. Nomenclature is from refrigeration and cooling units such as copper or similar metal coils. Yes, I'm guessing this condenser is similar to what they're using on Tatooine on the vapor moisture vapor farm of Luke's. Something similar, but of course it's a different, it's a
But he
completely
makes it.
different beast.
Yeah, but he makes a good point, Poxford, about controlling the temperature. Maybe it controls the temperature to some degree, or maybe it makes it more adaptable.
The condenser unit,
Yes.
but it controls. I'm sorry, I'm confused. Controls the temperature of the water, or
Well,
the
well,
or
no. What it does is when you have a condenser, the condensers actually uh, go into the air. So let's say if you have hot air that's up there, and the condenser brings cooler air, maybe that makes it more livable, more adaptable to be on the surface.
yeah, but I don't think that water condenser is going to be like air conditioning for the outside, or I'm confused.
Well, it could be. And but like you said, they never really interpreted that in the series. They just it was something that people had to say. Well, like Jill just said, like why didn't they burst into flames? It's hot outside. I mean, normal people couldn't live those temperatures. You
Right,
know,
but they did cover at the beginning. The professor said the temperature had been dropping.
right, right.
So as far as we know, this may even be the next day. That could have been the night before when they were having dinner.
That could be true. Yes. Good point, Paul.
Okay, so here's where Don's saying that parts of this condenser are corroding. So apparently they need to be in contact constantly with water, and when the water starts drying out, that's when they corrode, which would make sense.
Yes.
So Professor asks how many did it leave in operation, and I believe that there's only one left. He says so they can only get one fluid minimum every 20 seconds. So as we can see here, they'll show a close up, but it's basically all they're getting is a drop. So they're already down to the point where they've already been rationing. And he says at our present rate of consumption, they have 24 gallons, and it'll last them, I believe, he says, for a couple of weeks. And then he says that they check the tank, and they're going to double check to make sure. And it looks like it uses a good old fashioned dipstick. And then it looks like Professor Robinson is confused because it doesn't have 24 gallons in it like Don had thought. And he asked Don, "Are you sure?" And he says, "Yes, I know. I checked it."
Yeah, I
But
wonder
now there's
why.
only right. But now, unfortunately, it's down to only 2 gallons, which means now that means they really have to find water quick because with 2 gallons of water, there's no way they're going to last.
Yeah,
And as we get that scene, and we hear singing in the background, and we have the
here we
robot
go.
and Dr. Smith singing while Dr. Smith is taking a shower, apparently with the last bit of water that the Robinsons have.
Oh God.
Dr.
And
Smith never thinks of anyone but himself, does he?
yes,
He's
that's true.
But
he's. Go ahead, Jill. Go ahead.
I think the problem here is that he's not even thinking of himself in this instance. Normally, he is selfish, and that makes sense. But in this case, he knows that there's a water ration, and that this could
Good
cause him
point.
to die
Yeah,
of thirst.
that's actually an excellent point, Jill. I hadn't thought of that, but yeah, it is. Well, there's another.
Yeah, it's his water too.
Yeah, it's another Peter Packer moment, though, where I think, well, gee, Peter, maybe this doesn't actually logically add up
It's
when you think about
it's
it.
a funny moment, but I would
Well,
think
it's
that
good
he
for
would.
comedy, but you're right, Jill. I mean, I don't think Smith would use up all the water and, face possible death by dehydration, right?
Yeah, I think he would steal water, but just enough to where it looks like it's from the evaporation, not from
Yeah.
That's what I would.
Just
Yeah,
all of
that's
it.
what.
Yeah.
That's what I
Kind of a
would
weak
assume.
point
Right.
in the episode, actually, come to think of it.
I think they might have added in there for a comic element.
I think definitely. Yeah.
But word of note, if you guys have seen this episode or if you haven't, listen closely because this is where you'll get the voice of Bob May, the actor inside the robot, singing, and not the voice of the voiceover artist Dick Tufeld.
Oh,
There's
cool.
only a few rare scenes in the entire series where you get to hear Bob May's voice from inside the robot, and this is one of them.
Ah.
He's singing.
Yes,
Oh wow.
you
Yeah.
could tell because when he's singing, when he stops singing, when Professor Robinson and Don come and grab and turn off the water supply, you can hear the voiceover actor Dick Tufeld's voice cut in, so you can tell the voice changes.
Mhm.
So here's where they're basically scolding Dr. Smith, and Dr. Smith is saying, well, that he was dirty and icky. So I guess that's his reasoning there.
Oh boy.
I hate to bring this up. No, I was just gonna say I hate to bring this up, but is is Jonathan Harris actually nude underneath those
No,
sheets?
No,
Oh,
I'm
no.
okay.
sure he's probably got a pair of shorts on or
Right,
something.
Oh,
he's got
okay.
shorts on. They wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But he
Okay.
says, but he does mention, I like this. It's funny. He says, he mentioned, but I didn't get a chance to rinse the soap out of my hair. And Don says, I hope it falls out in bunches.
Yeah. Oh, it was a good scene. I did appreciate the humor of it, but yeah, when you like Jill pointed out, it doesn't make a lot of sense on a rational level, really.
How did you get it out of the tank? And he said, did you steal the spigot? And he says, no, but he basically siphoned it out. He said he used suction, which means siphoning.
Huh.
And then that's when Don mentions that he must have siphoned gas out of gas tanks when he was a kid. And of course, Dr. Smith said he was never a kid like that. And the
Huh.
robot continues singing. And then Dr. Smith tells the robot to shut up, pretty much. So
Uh,
Professor Robinson tells Dr. Smith that he better get in the Jupiter 2 because they're going to hold an immediate emergency meeting regarding the water supply. And we cut to this emergency meeting, which is now, remember, this is only a few minutes later, and it looks like Dr. Smith has got himself cleaned up pretty well. And you can tell by the look of the family here, none of them are really happy with Dr. Smith, and I think he's not feeling comfortable sitting around the table.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
but I think that. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, Pop. But I was just going to quickly mention.
I'll be right back.
Okay, Jill.
go ahead.
What I was going to say was that Maureen in this case says, well, maybe he didn't realize the full seriousness of what he was doing. So she's trying to make up for what Dr. Smith's mistake was, and I think
She does
she's
that
trying
often,
to
yeah.
protect him. Yeah, she tries to
Yeah.
protect him, and I don't like that. Because he's just like you said, he's selfish,
Mhm.
he's ambitious, he's a narcissist. Um, and I don't
Yeah.
think Maureen should, protect him
Well,
because it's not right. It isn't
I
right.
always, Mikey, I always saw the Marine, as the like the peacemaker kind of character.
Right, she brings
Like
a balance to the family instead of everyone just hating
yeah,
him.
like when Professor Robinson gets into it, with oh gosh,
Don.
Dawn.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Gets into it, Dawn. She's always trying to like smooth it over, right?
Right. And it's a good balance. Like I said, it adds three-dimensional depth to the family.
Yeah.
Like in this scene, not everybody is mad at Dr. Smith. So there's at least someone there who's trying to be a little more like a diplomat.
Yeah. Well,
And Dr.
Marie's like,
Smith does appreciate that. He says, thank you, dear lady. I'm glad someone here understands.
well, I guess, as a mother, she kind of, has a lot of patience, right? So maybe she even thinks of Smith as kind of like a big child in some ways,
I
because he
think she
kind of
does.
is.
He certainly acts like one in this episode.
Oh,
Welcome back, Jill.
actually, good point, Jill. I actually wanted to mention that. I don't know if I should mention it now or maybe I should. I probably should wait till later in the episode
Wait
because I don't
until
want
he
to.
has a few tantrums.
Yeah, I don't want to give spoilers or anything, so I'll wait till later. But yeah, I want to bring that up.
Yeah, you can bring it up when the scene
Yeah,
applies.
I'll wait. Yeah.
So now they're talking more about the water units and they're bone dry. Here I've got this chart, says Professor Robinson. So they're trying to figure out what they're going to do next. Now he's saying that there was a stream, but it had all dried up. And maybe if they follow its course, so they decide that the next day they're going to go out and start searching for water because that's their only option. And Dr. Smith gets ready to head off to his his quarters to have a nap, and they said, "No, you'll join us on the march with a bucket in each hand, just like the rest of us." So I like it because obviously Dr. Smith sees this as manual labor, which he is deathly afraid of.
One thing that comes to mind with this scene, like, what about like in episode 7, a couple episodes previous, there was that huge, pool of water where Penny went, to the cave, right? And like I'm thinking, well, is that not drinkable? Like, you know,
Well, they're going to show a scene. In fact, it's gonna. This is going to get to the point. If you guys haven't done it already, it's going to be get to the point where you're going to start recognizing the sets because they use them over and over.
ah,
So we are going to see here coming up where it's the same area that the chariot drove through in the first episode. It's where they gave thanks. It's also where Professor Robinson fell into that thicket of electrical bushes,
right.
and it's also the same area where the water of the lake was. But in this episode, I'll mention more when we get to that scene
Okay.
because that does apply.
Mm,
So they are walking, looking for by their appearances of the way Doctor Smith implies. I'm guessing they've been walking most of the day. So he seemed to be exhausted. So he sat down one of his buckets and he sits down and he says he feels dreadful. And of course, he's going to be the one that's always falling ill. So he's telling them that his ribs are grinding against his sternum. So he's exaggerating a little bit about.
Yeah, I bet he
Believe me.
doesn't feel any worse than anyone else.
Of
No,
course
and-
not. In fact, he probably feels better. He's the one that had the shower the day before.
That's right. And in future episodes, he always says the pain, the pain. He's
Well, he
always
said
yeah.
that
complaining.
before. He said that last
Always
week.
complaining. Yeah, he's always complaining about
That's one of
something.
that's one of his copyrighted remarks, I guess you could say. But
Well,
yeah, we'll see a lot of that.
Smith's a, Smith's a hypochondriac, among other things. So,
Well, here
Yeah,
he's being
you know what?
overly.
You
He's
would
being. Go ahead.
no. Go ahead, Jill.
Well, here he's being overly dramatic to not only get his ration early, but also get out of doing any of the work.
yeah, Smith's also a drama queen. Totally.
So Will
Yeah.
just said
And
that.
I
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
and I have personally known narcissists, and them and hypochondria seem to run well together for some reason.
They do.
And a lot of it is because of attention. They like attention,
Yeah.
Right.
True. True.
right? Playing weak, playing the victim. That's all part of it. Okay, so Maureen suggests, like we said earlier, she's a peacemaker. So she suggests, can we give Dr. Smith his ration of water? And they do give him one little, it's a drink from the lid. And he asks, thank you, madam. May I have another? And she says, unfortunately not. So Professor Robinson, feeling compassion, tells Dr. Smith that he can head back to the Jupiter too. And there he says, try to make it back to camp if you can. Now, this is the area I was talking
Oh,
about.
yeah. Okay.
Where
you're
we
right.
saw, right, we'll see it many times. We've seen it before. There's what's left of
Yeah.
that lake, I believe.
That
So,
doesn't
like-
look like. Yeah, it doesn't look anything like when Penny was there a few episodes ago.
No.
Right. And they
Wow.
never tried to drink it before. So I think that's what's happening is this is their first opportunity. But then as we see here,
It
Professor
looks.
tests
yeah.
the water and it's not safe.
It looks
Yeah.
pretty bad now. It looked much fresher when Penny was there, for sure.
Yeah. And now it's just a little pool.
Yeah, more like a little pond, tiny little pond. Well, a
Right,
pool,
and
yeah. Actually, more like a pool when you think about it. Yeah.
Right. And he even says you need a distilling plant as big as a refinery to get anything drinkable out of this. So yes, the water is no
Mm.
good.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want to drink it.
Not
Uh,
potable.
Yeah, I
Not
wouldn't go
potable.
near it.
Mm.
I wouldn't go
Yeah.
near it. No.
Yeah, it looks pretty nasty, actually.
Very
One
good.
thing I do have to admit though, and this was 1960s and it took place in 1997. But we do have, and I know we did back then too in 1997, which they didn't, they wouldn't have known. But we do have portable water testing kits that you can carry with you, and you can just get a little sample, shake it up in the test tube, and it'll tell you without you having to guess, pretty
Mm.
much. And we also, our technology's gone really well on filtration and salination, desalination,
Yeah.
that is.
I guess
Yeah.
some countries actually take seawater and convert it by desalination into drinking water, right?
We were
Yeah,
supposed to
well-
do that in California. We were on our path to it, but let's just say a certain political party shut it down with our nuclear plants.
Well, that's
We
kind
were
of dumb.
supposed to be. It is. We were supposed to be completely independent by now, electricity and with water. Now we have droughts
Ah,
and blackouts.
That's silly.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that
Well, there you go.
yeah,
What can I
that's
say?
Yeah,
right.
there was two comparisons that I experienced when I was living in Arizona all those years. We always had canals. Okay, we had the canals that we had to connect to water sources because it's a desert and because we had to be able to filtrate whatever groundwater came from, whether it was from Colorado, New Mexico, wherever it came from. And we had those, early salination units. I'm glad they have the modern stuff now that they can do filtration. But up here in Canada, what they had to do was pretty much drain Lake Ontario, where we live close to, and they had to re invigorate the content of the mineral in the water. So basically, the lake water is as safe or safer than it ever had been in previous years. That's what happened with them.
Oh, that's
Well, that's
cool.
yeah, that's one thing in Canada. One reason I'm glad to be in Canada is because we do have really good water in this country. Like we've probably got, I think we might even have the most fresh water and the most lakes of just about any country on the planet. So we are very blessed with that here in Canada. We do have a lot of really high quality water. Like the tap water here is fantastic.
You mean
Oh yeah.
it's better than the water in Detroit?
Oh yes.
Oh
By
well,
by like
yeah.
by like a hundred
Yeah,
by like 150%.
I know. I feel sorry for those people there.
Doesn't
Yeah.
Detroit have a lot of lead in their water? I've
Oh, it's
heard.
Yes.
got lead, mud, everything. I'm sure you guys have been hearing the
Ugh,
stories behind it.
that's
A whole
Mercury.
bunch
awful.
of garbage.
Mercury is the worst part.
Terrible.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
and
terrible.
that's the problem in California is with the gold mining. There's a lot of mercury up there, and then our hills, so you can't just go up there and drink
Um,
water.
No.
right. Yeah, right. Yeah.
No. No.
Um,
Yeah.
Ploxard says 145 degrees Fahrenheit would provide optimal slow cooking temperatures. Did everyone get bottles of vegetable oil? And Ploxard says the spikes in temperature could be regional and seasonal. It is. They do realize that in the episode "The Hungry Sea."
Yes.
Ploxard says water farming, similar idea. And Ploxard says humidity of the environment is gathered upon surfaces as temperatures change from hot to cool. Diurnal cycle. And Ploxard says comical absurdity of the situation carries the contrasting dire eventuality, which is exactly what they did with Gilligan's Island in the episode where they were searching for water. You always balance it out with comedy, which is the purpose of a comedy show, I suppose. Ploxard says Dr. Smith embodies whichever vice is necessary to carry the episode plotline. Yes, he does. Hurl Herc 130, good to see you. Hello,
Hello,
hello at
Hercules.
Ploxard. And
That's
Ploxard
a
says
good point,
hello,
Luxer.
Herc 130. Yes, it is a good point. Thank you. Herc 130 says, hey, panel. Hey, Herc.
Hey, Herc.
Lemon Pie says, hi, Gorilla 4 and Herc. Gorilla will be along soon after he gets his lawnmower. And Phantom Boomer is saying hello to everyone. And Ploxard says, hail, Phantom Boomer. And good to see you, Phantom Boomer. Phantom Boomer says, Lemon Pie, hi. And to everyone there. There's a lot of names
Hello,
there.
Phantom Boomer.
Hello, Boomer.
Yes. Blockster says charcoal filters and evaporation distillery were available at those times. Most all hazards would be removed. Main concern would be if the water molecules were ionized. Wow, Blockster knows what they're talking about. Thank you. I appreciate it. That's very knowledgeable. Very cool.
Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah.
My refrigerator, I believe, uses charcoal filter.
Oh, that's one that's got like a water dispenser, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, those tend to have a replaceable filter.
Yeah. And as PvP stated before, since we're Canadians, uh, our tap water is actually some of the safest to drink in like the entire world. It's amazing. It's absolutely
Cool.
amazing. Yeah.
Cool. So here's where we have the Robinsons pulled out some fruit from that pool of water, which resemble kiwis apparently. So they seem to be excited about that, but they do realize, just like with the water, they better test it before they eat it. But as everyone's excited and they're enjoying the look of the fruit, unfortunately, poor little hapless Debbie grabs a piece and takes it off where they can't see her and starts eating some of the seeds. And now we have back at the Jupiter 2 at the lab where they are testing them. And Don asked if they know how long it'll take, and he said anywhere from 24 to 48 hours. And everyone now, remember now, they're all thirsty and hungry. They have
Yeah.
food, but it's like watermelons. That's like, that's a lot of water right there in those plants alone. So they know that'll be great for their bodies. And
Here we go.
And I wanted to okay, and the scene I know you can't catch it with slides, but I wanted to point out on a production note, which I really liked it, and I'm glad that they did cover it in this chapter of the book. Is we show Marine. We've established in earlier episodes where I mentioned that the upper and lower decks of the Jupiter 2 were two different sound stages. They were not exactly on top of each other like it depicted. And what I like here is it shows Marine go over to the elevator. The camera gets in the elevator with her, and then it goes up. And as it's going in between floors, they make a quick edit, and then it shows her arrive on the top floor to where it looks like it attaches the two together. If that makes any sense.
Huh.
Wow. Okay.
Mm.
And there's even a scene they talk about that in the book. Is they told the director, well, you're not gonna have time for that. That's just gonna slow down filming. And he says, well, I want to do it. And so that was the director's idea to do that. He went out of his way doing it.
The illusion works.
That's
It does
great.
work.
Hello,
Yeah, it's
Matt
great.
G. Hello, Matt
That's
G.
great. Yeah. Great when a director takes the time to do something that actually adds to the episode like that.
Yeah.
Hello, Matt G.
Oh, Matt G.
Let me get caught up here. Thank you guys for noticing.
Matt G.
Matt G.
Mommy. And Ploxnerd says, I only know what I am allowed. Fact checking might subject ascertains to revisions.
Right.
Well, thank you, Ploxnerd. We appreciate it anyway. And Hungry Boy, yes, kiwis are far more disgusting than that fruit. LOL, snot berries.
Nice Willy Wonka reference. Okay.
And we have a guest appearance tonight from the president of the Jill fan club, Matt G. Say Jill and others.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Jill's
At least
biggest
I'm
fan.
another. Right. At least I'm another. So at least thank you for mentioning me, Matt G. Phantom Boomer says, do not like kiwis at all. I like kiwi flavored like tea and drinks, but I don't really tend to eat them. So I can understand what you guys are saying. And Ploxer says, hail, Matt G. Phantom Boomer says, Matt G, good evening. And Matt G says, hello. Hungry Boy says, hey, Matt G. Matt G says, hello. Hello. Everybody's doing hello, back and forth. And it looks like Matt G is laughing.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, get back to the episode. So when June gets up the upper deck of the Jupiter 2, she sees out the window, and there's Dr. Smith just chowing down on them. Apparently, he is just now arriving back at the Jupiter 2. So when they all came back from the water, searching for water, and started testing on the kiwis, he still hadn't at that point arrived back to the Jupiter 2, and he doesn't know. And they left some of them out on that table, and there he is munching at them.
Yeah.
So panicked, June runs out there and starts warning him. In fact, she knocks him a little too late. In fact, she knocks him out of his hands.
Huh.
And apparently at that point, which I don't want to get so too much of here, but I usually, when Jill has to step away, I usually try to cover something from the book. The director, Sutton Rowley, was 43 apparently when he directed this episode.
Hmm.
And producer Buck Houghton it was originally his idea, and he explains why the first 2/3 of the story deals with man against nature. The gimmick of turning Dr. Smith and Debbie. Well, I don't want to give away too much of that. Here you go. Sutton Rowley put in extra care, sprinkling in excellent directorial touches such as the camera traveling along with Maureen on her elevator ride from the lower to the upper deck. The script did not call for this. It was Rowley's idea, including the risk of falling behind schedule by undertaking such ambitious shots as these. Note how after the sleight of hand trick connects the lower and upper decks with a hidden edit, the camera rides along with June and then, without an additional cut, brings into view the upper deck's front viewing portals as we catch the sight of Dr. Smith outside the Jupiter 2 feasting on the untested fruit. Rowley also excelled in working with the cast, all of whom were provided with good roles in Packer's script. The scene with Angela Cartwright is one such example. Staged in the campsite area outside the Jupiter 2 as she tries to comfort Debbie, then looks up toward the sky saying, "You look so beautiful up there, Sky. But you look more beautiful if you were all dark with rain clouds." And the rain was falling and filling the rivers and the streams and the lakes, but not until we find Dr. Smith. Kudos also go to the set designers and decorators for creating the sand dunes on stage 6, where the Robinsons and West search for Smith in the dark of night, as well as the mound where Smith buries his tape recording and plants his flag. The work of hauling in extra sand and creating the mounds was done for this episode alone.
Hey, Pop, I had a question. You mentioned Buck Houghton. Didn't he also work with Buck Henry on some episodes of Get Smart?
I didn't know you worked on Get Smart, but I know you worked on Twilight Zone.
Yeah, I know
Are you sure
that.
you're not? Are you sure you're not thinking of Mel Brooks?
Or maybe you're thinking of Buck Henry.
Well, I was
But-
thinking of Buck Henry, but I also thought that Houghton might have worked on some episodes.
I'm really not sure. I've never heard
If
that
anybody's
before.
in the chat, you'd like to look up Get Smart on Internet Movie Database, will tell you that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll take
please.
a quick look here if I can see if I can find anything.
Like I said, I was aware of Buck Henry and Mel Brooks.
I just didn't know Buck Houghton did a comedy. I didn't.
Yeah,
wasn't
well,
aware
it
of
was
that.
the two of them that created this series, right? So
Now, when you say to the created, you were talking about Mel Brooks and Buck Henry.
Buck Henry, yeah, they were co-creators of Get Smart, I believe.
Mel
I
Brooks
think-
was only there to create, and then Buck Henry pretty much ran the show after that.
Yeah. Okay, so you're talking producers, right?
Right.
Okay, it says executive producer Sheldon B. Stern, Arnie Sultan. Producers listed here on Wikipedia are Jay Sandrich, Arnie Rosen, Jesse Oppenheimer, Burt Nodella, and Chris Hayward. So I don't see him listed as a producer.
As Buck Houghton. Okay. So I might have gotten confused with Buck Henry. I apologize.
Yeah, I mean,
No problem.
unless they've accidentally omitted him, but I don't see him listed on the producers on the page here. So yeah.
On the show.
That-
Okay.
That's fine. So this is the scene where Maureen knocks the fruit out of Dr. Smith's hands. And he's still not understanding. He says, you didn't have to do that. And there's plenty more. And then Dr. Smith, don't eat that, she says. And then at this point is where he's confused why she did it. And then now she explains to him that they're still testing it and can't be eaten until they get the results back from the test. Unfortunately, Dr. Smith twists that, reminding me of a certain person on the internet, but I won't upset anybody by giving names, takes a fact and twists it into their own little mind and says that they're trying to kill him, that they put it out there to intentionally poison him, knowing that he would walk up and eat the fruit, which of course they did not do. And she tries to explain that. But of course, Dr. Smith is always going to be the crybaby, so he's going to blame it on somebody else. Ploxer
Yes.
says these look like papaya
Yeah.
fruit. Maybe it is papaya. You could be right, Ploxer.
I think actually it might have been.
The part where he twists the facts for his own purpose follows his character, but what doesn't follow his character is the fact that he's eating the fruit to begin with. That he knows from military training and from a lifelong lesson. Like he's old enough to know better. The
Well, yeah,
chimp
Professor
doesn't know
Robinson
better.
even Professor Robinson points that out. He said, of all people, he's a doctor. He should know better.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
But then-
what makes him do it? Is it dehydration making him stupid in this episode? Or what happened?
But well, that's what he
I
says.
think
He
so.
says that he
Wow.
even says that in this episode. He mentions, he goes, I of all people should have known, but he was so thirsty and hungry is what made him forget.
Yeah.
And I can understand that happening.
Alrighty, who was saying that QE sucks there, so I could ban him here from the ban him here?
Who
I'm
sucks?
Kidding, I'm kidding.
Hello,
Who said
Gorilla.
QE sucks?
Welcome,
Kiwis.
Gorilla. Welcome.
Kiwis.
Hi.
Oh, kiwis.
I think you missed two of
Kiwis
my
are low level
chats
fruit.
there.
There
Well,
you go. Okay.
just for that, Jill, I could block you. I should block you on Facebook for that.
I take it we have a Kiwi fan here.
Oh yeah, I'll take kiwi over any other fruit. Fight me.
Ooh,
Wow.
my favorite is pineapple, I'd have to say.
I'm allergic to pineapple.
Yeah.
Have you
How
ever
many
had,
shots am I
uh,
up to? How many
have
shots
you-
am I up to?
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry, what's that, Gorilla?
How many shots do I have to take? It feels like I need a cup.
Yeah,
need to
because
drink it tonight.
Blockster. Yeah, he
I
hasn't
hope
put an
not.
item one yet.
Yeah, I
Well,
hope
there's
you
an
don't have
automatic
to.
one in there.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. I gotta
Okay.
get
Go for
some
it.
drink because
Okay,
it's
go
been a
for
day.
it.
Yeah, and your
I
throat's
got-
going
I-
to get dry.
I gotta ask Pop, since he loves pineapple. Have you ever tried the pineapple pizza that we have here in Canada?
Yes, we have it here. I like a combination pizza with everything on it, including pineapple and jalapenos. Exactly how I
Oh, wow!
stated when
Wow,
I
that's a
ordered.
combo.
Oh,
That's a
wow.
combo, all right. Pineapple and jalapenos.
It is.
Wow.
But you know what? One thing that I wasn't an adult until I tried it, and I didn't even know it existed. When I did, it was like, I'm a big chocolate fan, and it was like eating another kind of chocolate, and that is glazed, not glazed, carameled pineapple. That's like one of the best things that God put on this earth.
Jeez.
Is when you caramelize it. I had never had it before, but we went to a restaurant. And I said, "What is that?" And they said, "Caramelized pineapple." I said, "No, that's
I
interesting."
never heard of that.
And I taste. Oh, it is so good. Oh my God, it takes pineapple and kicks it up to a whole new level.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, when I found out that I was allergic, I was like, "Well, why?" And well, my mother tried to explain it. She was saying it was more of the acidity of the pineapple than anything, and
Oh,
and I was like, "Well, I was afraid of what was going to happen." And well, because we have a female here, and I'm not going to tell you where the rashes ended up, but it didn't look pretty. So I have to avoid pineapple at all costs. Juice, anything related,
Huh.
even some items which have pineapple juice in them, like
yes.
as a side. Yeah, I can't have it. There's just
Huh.
no
It
way I
makes
can do
sense. It makes sense. I had a good friend who just suddenly became allergic to strawberries. And I
Really?
was like, "Oh, yeah, too bad for." And he liked
Oh,
them,
that's kind of
but it
weird.
happens. It happens.
The only
It can
problem
happen.
is that. Oh,
Go ahead, Jill.
oh, sorry, I gotta help.
Yay!
I wanted to say, I
All right.
wanted to say, the only problem is this lady is very good at context clues, so I know exactly what you're talking about, even though you won't. I'm glad though you don't say it. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
I
you.
know
All
there's
right,
at least
we all.
one automatic.
I think we
Go
can
ahead.
all understand without being very descriptive. I think we understand what you're talking about there, Mikey.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. All righty. There's one
on, come back.
automatic shot here. So
No, a
Oh,
shout.
oh,
Yeah.
here we go.
He's
What's
gotta
your
go.
drink of choice, Gorilla? What are you drinking tonight, Gorilla?
Yeah, what are you drinking,
I
Gorilla?
don't know. I got told my language can't exceed the rating of the what we're reviewing.
Yeah,
Okay.
probably not. Yeah.
Lemon pie says papaya are not my favorite fruit. And lemon pie says Dr. Smith dead. I think he died by poisoned fruits.
Oh,
I think. Sorry, she means. Plotter says Dr. Smith underwent a series of amnesia episodes. Yes, that is true. And Hungry Boy says, "Yep, looks like a papaya mango hybrid. Delicious, unlike leathery bags of snot like that, like kiwis and mango." Hungry Boy says mango,
yeah.
and Plotter says kiwi or QA. And Hungry Boy says LMAO, Jill, low leal fruit.
I
True.
think you'd say level fruit, probably low level.
I think it is low level, yes.
Yeah.
Plotter says I lost count after exceeding the state count. And Lemon Pie says papaya is when you like fruit that smells like feet. That's a good observation.
I think I'll pass on that one.
Yeah. No.
Oh boy.
Well, unless maybe you can find somebody's feet who taste like fruit.
Yeah, I think I found a way I could describe it. It's called a creamy. Let's just say anatomy on a female. There, it's a creamy anatomy on a female. That's how.
Okay, I have to ask you. I have to ask you a question. I have to ask you a question, Gorilla, because I've been to liquor stores and I've seen different kinds of booze. Why do you guys have so much in Minnesota that are cuss words? I'm curious.
No, this is the actual name of the shot, not the actual drink. Not that. Well, it's in
Okay.
it. It's
Okay.
Bailey's and Tequila Rose, but the name of the shot is Test.
Okay. Okay. Floxer says error code 404 not found. And Hungry Boy says, "Wah ha 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 ha, lemon pie." And Floxer says, papaya are a delightful series of flesh colors ranging from yellow through red orange, with a green to yellow skin. And yes, that's true. Lemon pie says some are allergic to the bromelain in pineapple. That could be it right there. Thank you, lemon
Yeah,
pie.
that's absolutely true, Lemon. But it also, like I said, it's not just the bromelain; it's also the acid. So
Well, what about the
degree of
acid like?
comes with it.
What about the acid like in oranges and stuff like grapefruit?
Yeah, well, I mean, every fruit like that, what I understand of it, pineapple, oranges, like you
So
said,
you're
they all have a
allergic to
different
those as
form
well.
of acidity. Yeah,
Right,
no,
but
they have a
are you allergic to those as well? Is my question. Oranges and
Oh
grapefruits
no,
and stuff.
I'm perfectly. I can handle
Oh,
oranges.
okay.
I can handle strawberries. I can handle any of the other
Gotcha.
fruits. Yeah.
Can you guys still hear me?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah, you're there.
Okay, I won't have headphones in tonight.
the
You
bromelain
sound-
comes
you sound
from
fine.
pineapple being bromelade. Lemon Pie says, Roman Lane, bro. Hungry
Oh,
Boy says,
man.
apologies. My V key is more useless than Dr. Smith and twice
That's
as
why it's
lazy.
lazy.
No need to apologize, Hungry. I
No
totally
need
understand.
at all.
And it's funny too. I had a laptop where the V key was messed up too.
Hi, Trusty Ape.
I think somebody accidentally dumped something inside of it.
Uh,
Hello, Trusty Ape. Welcome. So good to see you. And Trusty Ape. I need to add you because I'm sub to your channel. I've been watching your videos. I need to add you to my Stream Elements bot so we can plug your channel when you come on here.
Yes.
I usually try to plug everyone's channel that has a channel, and Trusty Ape does, and he's got a lot of content out there that I'd like to share with everybody. Plotster says, "Hail the Trusty Ape,"
And hola.
and Hungry Boy says, "Hola, the Trusty Ape."
Hola. Yeah. Hola.
Hello to the Trusty Ape.
Oh, so here's where
I have just subscribed.
yes.
Yeah, there we go.
So is Trusty
There
Ape
you go.
related to Gorilla in any way?
I think they're distant. I think they're distant cousins. That's how
there
I
you
met
go.
him. Was on. That's how I met him. Was on one of Gorilla's.
Oh, that's
stream.
well, that's
Stream,
perfect then. Wow.
Yeah.
Anyway, Smith's getting a real talking to here. It looks like.
Yes.
Right. And of course, he is playing the victim, but he's not completely realized yet of the scope of the situation. But when it does dawn on him, that's when he starts to think that they were trying to poison him. See, he said he was hungry and thirsty. How's I have known that you? And here's where his mind switches, and he thinks that they left it there deliberately.
But I think you did miss two of my chats, though, Pop.
I tried to cover them all.
Well, one I said during the game there, you can tell whose dad's favorite is.
Oh, who's that? I didn't notice. Sorry.
Well,
when you were playing the board game?
Yeah, because hint not to do a certain move.
Yeah,
But
but she said she didn't actually need that help, and Will doesn't believe her.
It still doesn't mean that she's not the favorite.
That's true. It could be.
Then also,
I don't know though. Will gets to do all the fun stuff.
then
Depends on your
during
perspectives.
the shower scene, I said execute him. They should have executed. Cause you hear that out of touch where you got
Language.
take a shower, you use 22 gallons of water when you're supposed to be rationing.
I apologize that I missed your chats. I tried to catch them all. I'm sorry, Gorilla.
Yeah, exactly. He's less like Mr. Smith in this episode and more like a contestant, a losing contestant on the Survivor reality show.
Well, don't forget.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was saying, don't forget that during that shower scene, at any time, the robot could have just electrocuted him with his lightning if he pissed him off. He could have
that would have
done
been quite
that.
a scene.
Yeah.
I imagine the network
right, but
would have had a problem with that, though.
Well, right, and at this point, the robot's not going to do that because the robot is still under full control of Dr. Smith at this point.
Right.
Besides, the network would say, please do not have the robot electrocute any of our main cast.
Right, and we've talked about that before, where it couldn't even show them. They couldn't even show the electricity pointed towards another character. So when Will was up on top of the chariot and the robot came with electricity, it was just shooting blindly around and it hit a tree. But they were told by the sensors not to show it hit it and pointed towards one of the cast members or one of the crew.
One of the crew in the ship.
Point.
Right.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah.
Right. This is family hour between 8 and 9 p.m. They allowed a little more from 9 to 10 p.m., but not during this time here because they consider this more for family, which is also why the show centers around the kids a lot more than the adults.
I'm so glad Star Trek was on at a later hour. Can you imagine Star Trek if it had been in the family hour? It'd be like, whoa,
no.
That could have been very different.
We probably wouldn't be talking about it right now.
Well, we wouldn't have had AMOC time, that's for sure.
We wouldn't have any of the episodes.
Somebody told me
we can't
this
mention.
was a funny thing. This was a funny thing I heard about
Might be able to have
Roddenberry.
tribbles.
Yeah, they said that Roddenberry might have slept around, but he still had morals. I don't understand that.
Yeah,
might have slept around. Might have slept around.
He did.
There's no might about it. I love Gene Roddenberry, and I'll defend him when
I
Some
know
of the
he did, though.
producers are a little upset with him, but he
Yeah.
definitely did. He loved
Gene-
humanity.
Gene
Yeah.
definitely loved women, and I won't say any more.
Wow.
Well, and I will say he treated them well, so he did not treat them
Oh yeah,
badly or
that's true.
poorly.
I mean, I guess he
Uh-huh.
was kind of a gentleman, right? So
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
I guess.
So here's where Dr. Smith is still he's accusing them of laying the fruit out on purpose, and of course they're saying they would not have done that, and anybody knows the Robinsons know they wouldn't. But Dr. Smith is upset he doesn't know that, and now that his mind is thinking about them trying to poison him, suddenly he has a stomach ache. So as if the and that's the way your evil minds work, isn't? I can feel it; it's churning in my blood. He says.
Yeah,
So we get a
total
little bit of
hypochondria.
total hypochondria.
Yeah.
Total, yes.
So
Professor Robbins' look kind of says it all here, right? He's like, I don't believe this guy.
It's kind of like Dr. Smith's, the way that he feels about the family. He's reflecting that back on himself.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
right, Dr. Smith.
Oh, here we go.
And Dr. Smith, he heads back to his quarters where he wants to sulk. And of course, Maureen is feeling sorry for him and saying, "Is there anything we can do?" And and the smart thing to say, like what the professor says, they can wait until they get some sort of symptoms.
They
And
must have some
just
milk
like
seltzer or something on the ship, though, right? Like,
I'm sure they did. And Dr. Smith, of course, is already looking anywhere and everywhere for signs of something wrong.
I had a question for you, Pop. At any
Wait,
time
hold on,
during-
just a second, Mikey. This
Okay.
is the scene I was talking about where he is, uh, um, what's the word I'm trying to figure out? Where he's-
Self-aware?
No, where he's blaming himself, saying, "I should have known I'm a doctor, idiot, dolt." This is the scene I was mentioning earlier.
Yeah.
Scolding himself. That's the word.
Yeah, at least
Oh,
he
that's
knows.
Well, right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Now he's scolding himself away from them. You'll notice he's doing that not where they can see,
Right.
but he's in his quarters, and this is the scene
so,
I mean.
you're roboting a bit there, Pop.
Roboting.
Dalek, you sound like a
scold
Dalek.
himself and saying, "I should have." Damn it! Sorry, my dog. Get off. My dog bumps one wire on my laptop, and that's what happened. So I apologize.
No, dog sabotage again this week. Oh no.
Yeah.
I know.
Um,
Poor Romeo.
do
You
they
sound
call
okay
this?
now.
Do they call this self-deprecation? Is that what they call it?
Self-deprecation is usually when they make fun of themselves, like the comedians like Rodney Dangerfield and Phyllis Diller.
Yeah.
Right.
So what would you
Right.
call this that he's doing then? More like
Chastising himself or
chastising,
scolding
It's
himself.
It's
Scolding
almost like
himself.
self-pity, maybe, in a way.
So pity, yes.
Well, he'll do the
Yes,
self-pity
good
in
call.
front of them, but he'll do the scolding to himself alone in the quarters away from them.
The loathing.
Right.
The
Any,
loathing.
any kind of blaming of himself, he's not going to do it in front of them because that shows a weakness.
In a
Yeah.
strange way, though,
But-
he is kind of taking a bit of responsibility in this scene when he's away from the family. Like, he actually is blaming himself for being
Yes.
an idiot.
Yes. That's what I'm saying, but he won't do that in front of the family.
Oh, of course not.
No.
No, not when he still has a hope of getting sympathy from them. Yeah, he's going
Yeah.
to continue
Smith is
putting on
always-
that act.
Smith's always playing all the angles, you know.
Well, the writer here knows that he's making Smith do things that are not within his character, something that he normally wouldn't do.
Yeah, that's an issue
Because
I
of
had
the
with this
dehydration.
episode too, Jill, which
Yeah,
I'll
but the
mention
excuse,
later.
the excuse is the dehydration.
Hey, Pop.
Yeah.
But he has moments
Oh,
of
sorry.
clarity like this, where he's like, "Yeah, okay, I wasn't an
Mm.
idiot."
Now, I had a quick question for Pop, and I hope I'm not going too far forward with this, or in the future, for future episodes. But weren't there a few times where the family actually thought that Dr. Smith wasn't really human, that he was like an alien, but in human skin? Did they
I
think
don't remember
that's
that.
No, I don't think
I
so.
don't, you guys?
Okay.
I don't remember that. Do you guys?
I don't remember that in the series, actually.
Okay.
Unless you're
I'm
talking
watching
about
this
a
for the first time.
right. Jill's watching it for the first time, and so's Gorilla. But maybe unless you're talking about a specific episode, there, Mikey.
I think I was, well, there was a few times where he was like linked to other alien, mechanisms or devices.
Well, there could be a future episode maybe where he's like possessed by an alien entity or something. So
We get a little bit of that,
that's
but I don't
possible.
remember them thinking that he's an alien.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't remember anything, clearly like that at all. So yeah.
Okay, so here is where Dr. Smith is in this order. He's scolding himself. Then he decides, no, I'm going to keep the blame on them. And he says they'll pay with their lives.
Oh, jeez. Oh, there's a
Oh,
flash
yeah.
of the evil Smith again.
Yes.
Yes. Now, this is what I talked about. There's not as much branch and foliage around the Jupiter 2 doors.
Definitely.
And Marine goes to check on him to see if he's okay. And she comes out saying he's not in his cabin and he's not anywhere in the ship. So I guess he went out the back door. Who knows, right?
Yeah. How many entrances and exits were on this ship?
They never made that clear, unless
Yeah,
they could all been busy. They don't know at this point how long he's been out of the ship. They could have been doing something else when he left.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
And the fact that they're all outside, I'm guessing that it's still warm, and that's why they're out there enjoying the cool air. Maybe that's why they're sitting outside, not inside the ship.
Is that Don saying that he must have been so frightened that he just ran away to die?
No,
Who
that's
said
Marine.
that? Marine said that. Oh, wow. Okay.
Marine says that.
Ah.
And then this is where Professor, well, so there's not much they can do, and he equates it to like a bull elephant. Giving us, and then of course Don says giving us all that trouble anyway. And there it is. Look at the shot with it goes right back to that stock shot with all the stuff around the.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's some kind of weak editing or something there.
I don't think they looked at it, but yeah, because they had to get that stock shot with the door closed. That's the only reason why.
That seems like a continuity issue.
Yeah,
happens
you
back
think
in
they
those
would have
days.
had like two versions with the door closed, that they could use, right?
Right.
Yeah, possibly.
Sure.
So Professor Robinson is looking through Dr. Smith's quarters, and he says he took some personal belongings, shaving kit, and stuff like that. And they're saying, well, and then Judy says, is that going to do him any good without water? And Don says, well, it's still possible the fruit gave him no more than a bad stomach ache, which is true. At that point, that's all they know, and that's the only symptoms he has shown. Well, when that wears off, he gets thirsty enough, he'll be back, says the professor, which is right. Now, he knew as well as we do that we're not supposed to eat anything. So there's where Marine brings it up again. Anything we find on this planet until it's been thoroughly tested, which is true.
Yep.
Judy, I'm sure you wouldn't have tested anything either. And Judy would have known either. So they all do agree that that is his fault. So there's no reason for him to blame it on them. As for Smith, he's a doctor and he should have known, is exactly what Marine just says. He's had much more experience than you have, she says, which is true.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Dr. Smith doesn't look at it that way, of course. He's going to blame it on someone else. That's another sign of a narcissist. They never do anything wrong, and everything else is everyone else's fault.
Yeah, Smith always has to blame somebody else for his problems, right?
Yeah, I've known people just like that.
Yeah, but this is the point in the episode where everybody starts showing compassion towards Dr. Smith.
They do. Well, they do feel sorry for him.
Oh wow.
Well, everybody except Don.
Except Don.
You're
yeah.
including Don? Oh, I didn't think so. I don't remember an episode where Don ever showed compassion for Smith, actually, coming to think of it.
Now since we're on this topic, I'm going to cover something here. It's at the end of the chapter, but I'll cover it now because it doesn't really matter when we talk about it. Let me see where we are. At the very end of the chapter. Now, regarding mail and fan mail, Jonathan Harris said in an interview, we did a segment once where a great boulder came crashing down off a hill and landed on Mark's foot. He means Mark Goddard, who played Don. He said, a fake boulder, of course, and Mark acted up a storm. Oh, the pain, the pain. About 2 weeks after that episode was on the air, Mark got a letter, which he quickly brought to my dressing room. He said, read this. So I did. It was from a gentleman who said, I just watched the segment where a terrible boulder came crashing down on your foot. The way you acted, the pain was just wonderful. It was magnificent. I felt it. It was so real. If you would send me a picture of your foot, I would so much appreciate it. I said, oh? And Mark said, read on. If you cannot send me a picture of your foot, could you please have a plaster cast made of your foot? I will pay the postage and I will pay for the plaster cast. And if you feel you cannot send a plaster cast, could you send me the measurements of your foot? Well, we all know about that, don't we? So
is that just a little weird and creepy, or what?
people always got weird things like that. So
But that's like
Oh,
a
man.
foot some with a serious foot fetish or something. I
so
don't know.
Absolutely.
Harris continued. Well, we know. Well, he says to Mark. He said, "Well, we all know about that, don't we?" I said to Mark, "This is totally crazy. Throw it away. Just forget
It's
it." And he said,
hilarious.
"No, I'm going to answer it."
Oh
I
my
said,
god.
"You're not."
Oh
And he
no.
said, "Yes, I am. I'm going to send him the picture of a foot." And he did. It was terrible. A wicked boy. I loved it. I love Mark. He had a wonderful, droll sense of humor, very dry, and I like that a lot.
That's funny.
That's funny.
So
Wow.
just dispelling the rumors, offset, they were actually very good friends.
That's pretty cool.
And yes, that is an interesting story about his foot. A plaster cast.
Yeah, that's like a bit of going too far for a request. I mean, maybe a photo, but a plaster cast is like, wow.
All right, check. Can we catch up on chat?
Yes, thank you, Gorilla.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay,
I'm gonna
Ploxar
step away
puts
from
in Trusty Apes
Okay, Jill.
link. Says thanks at Pop Culture Curator and everyone. I
Thank you for putting
appreciate-
that link in there.
Yes.
Yeah. Hungry says Dr. Smith is 3 chapters in a DSM-4 all by himself. Before political correctness, he'd have been diagnosed as
Histrionic. Histrionic.
At least the lighting and camera work is beautiful. Canine
Otage. Canine otage.
The term of self-recrimination, classically for Smith picking on himself.
Yes.
Dr. Smith fell prey to various traps and tricks and pitfalls. A changing Smith would not be beyond the pale.
That's a good point, Plug.
All right, that's all of them.
Yeah.
Right, and that does make sense. Thank you for that, Gorilla.
Yes. Thank you, Gorilla.
And we'll continue with the slides when Jill comes back. But this is where, like we said, they were talking about Smith should have known better. He has more training when it comes to things like that than they do.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask you a question again about that. When you said that they were good friends off screen, and I believe you, Pop, but weren't there like times in like different episodes where you thought Don was literally going to hit him, like he was going to deck him or do something, Dr. Smith?
He
I
should have.
don't know if he felt like he was going to do it or not. They did.
should have.
You guys remember this is 1965 Family Hour. I know you guys want to see them fighting each other. And I know you like to bring it up every week, but they're not going to do that. This is a family-oriented show. They'll mention that when they're upset about another, but if you want them shooting each other, stabbing each other, electrifying each other, this is the wrong show for that.
That's true. That's true.
I don't know how to say it.
Yeah.
Well, can't they do it like the way Skipper does it, just by how does Skipper do it?
With
Like
his hat. With his hat
With
on.
his hat, yeah.
Right, but that's a completely different relationship that those two had. Those are almost that Skipper and Gilligan are almost like a father and a son.
Yes.
But with here it's different. They're not going to show Don being violent because that would have turned the audience against him, and he would start getting a bunch of nasty letters, I'm sure.
I'm sure he would have, yes.
Because the fans like Dr. Smith.
Yes.
That's exactly for everything that we realize about Dr. Smith. He's cunning. He's sneaky. He's like a bucket of eels, like Don said in the earlier episode. But that's exactly what the audience like.
Yeah.
That's what the audience like. So I don't think they would have liked anybody punching on him. And let alone, I don't think the censors would have enjoyed it either.
Well, I think I think that most audience people probably thought that Dr. Smith could be like the unlucky villain. Like he could be the villain of the piece, but not like, go into an extreme of villainous. But, most people were like identifying him with like being the, narcissistic villain of the piece, just kind of like being there, selfish and self-centered.
Well, he was right. He would be, but as we've seen and we will see later on, when it comes down to it, when the chips are down, Dr. Smith does help out sometimes.
That's true.
Well,
he's always it's usually like the first part of the episode will be him totally non-caring and throwing them under the bus. But then the latter half of the episode, I don't like generalizing like that, but the latter half towards the end in the third act is when he comes to realization and he sides with the Robinsons. So that's kind of like a common theme throughout the show.
I think one reason Dr. Smith was such a popular character? He's probably the fan favorite, but I think it's probably because overall he was probably the most fully developed character in the series when I think about it. Because let's face it, Jonathan Harris contributed so much into building that character, up from what could have been a basic villain, right? He could have been a
Exactly.
mustache twirling, boring villain in the
Yeah.
early episodes, especially.
Right, and
And of course,
as he said in interviews, he said he knew that if he would have
yeah,
just been a two-dimensional character, they would have killed him off after just a few episodes. So that's why he added the
exactly.
depth to the character.
Yeah, and he added so much depth. And of course, the writers, they developed him bit by bit too. Some of the writers added little elements to the character as the series went on. But I give Jonathan Harris, full credit for actually basically creating, Dr. Smith's character. And even though he was, nefarious and selfish and, annoying a lot of the time, probably most of the time, there was still something about him that was very entertaining. He was never boring, right? Which is the worst thing you can do on a TV show. And even if he was a pain in the butt, he was still fun in some weird way. So, I understand totally why he was a fan favorite, and he's one of my favorite characters in the series. I think
Well,
really
he's kind of loosely modeled after Long John Silver from Treasure Island
that
Yeah.
makes sense.
because
I
he was like the villain, but yet he was the one everyone loved.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
and this is kind of like a mixture of that and Swiss Family Robinson.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I also wanted to say that actually that's funny that PvP that you admired Dr. Smith. Actually, my favorite character on the whole series was Will. And the reason I say
Ah.
that is because, and I'll tell you why, just real quick. The reason I say that is because at that time, when I was starting to watch the reruns of it as it came out, because I was too young when the first episodes came out. But when I started watching them, I said, okay, I'm a nerd like Will, but I'm naive like Will. But then in some ways, I can actually be helpful, to the family like Will. Uh,
Hmm.
and he always looked for his father's approval for Professor Robinson. He always did. He
True.
always could trust his mother. He could trust his sisters who were older and maybe less condescending, which was great. But but when it came to uh, Will's, confidence, his self confidence, he had to know that his dad did appreciate him, but maybe sometimes he ignored him. But then you knew that Dr. Smith was going to come around and say, well, this boy might not know what he's doing, but he is pretty smart, so I need to be with him to guide him in some way. So that's why I really enjoyed Will. I really
Oh,
did Will and Mummy. Yeah.
that's great points you're making there. Like, yeah, I would say Will, along with Smith, is one of the better, more developed characters. And as the series progresses, we start to get more storylines featuring Dr. Smith and Will as like a team, so to
Yes.
speak. And they go off on adventures, and often they take the robot with them, of course, too. So it's kind of like a fun trio. And as the series goes on, we get some really awesome episodes with the three of them. And
Yes.
so, yeah, I think Will's probably the second most developed character. Well, him and Smith are pretty well equal, I'd say. They both have so many layers. And I think after that, probably my third favorite would be Penny, because I
Yes.
kind of relate to Penny because she's sensitive and intelligent, and I totally related to her when I was a kid watching the show back then. So yeah, so those are probably my top three characters. Come to think of it.
Yeah. I thought that the uh, Marta Marta Kirsten's character. Um, I'm sorry. What was her name again?
Judy, Judy.
Judy. Yeah. Thank you. I thought that Judy was, in most respects, I think that Judy, because it was inferred, right, that she was just as smart as her dad, right?
Hmm.
But the thing is that I could see in most of the further episodes that she acted sort of like an isolationist. She didn't really want to be involved, but then when the chips were down, she figured, well, I better help the family. I better do something
Hmm.
because, um, But I always felt that she picked her moments, and I think that's what the writers did, is that they could pick their moments to where Judy could do something positive and effective for the family, and to help the situation. And I liked her over Penny, only slightly though, because I agree with what you said on a lot of Penny there, PvP. But I really did enjoy Judy's character. So for me, it would be like Will, Dr. Smith, and then Judy. That would be for me. Yeah.
Okay. I guess I just found that Judy was a decent character, of course, but I often found the writers kind of overlooked her and put her in the background in a lot of episodes.
Right.
Maybe I'll change my mind as I rewatch these because I haven't. It's probably been 20 years since I've seen most of these episodes, so my memory's a little fuzzy. So, but I remember I don't think Judy was like at the center of too many stories, if I remember correctly.
Gorilla, check your Twitter.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh. But anyway, yeah. I mean, all the characters are good. They all have good moments, right? But I think it does often center around Smith, Will, and the robot as the series goes on.
Obviously, yes.
Oh.
I agree with you there.
Should we catch up on chat real quick?
Yeah,
Go for
it, Gorilla.
Yep. Sounds
Yeah,
good.
please. You guys got to remember, we're not staying on topic very much. I know we're talking about Lost in Space.
Yeah.
But we're over an hour into the stream, and we haven't even gotten a third through the episode.
Okay, we better.
And I know we like to. Right, I know we like. Here's okay. Let me explain something really quick. And I hate to. I don't want to sound rude, but I like when people share their thoughts on the entire series. That's wonderful. But if we could try to keep it per episode, then we would get to the stream a lot faster.
Okay, I can do that.
Because otherwise we're gonna be here all night talking about what we think of the characters. And,
yeah, well,
I could talk about that forever, but we won't get to the stream if we do that. If we could just try to talk about what you think about this specific stream.
Yeah,
or a show episode.
I mean,
episode.
Too, so yeah, that's good.
All right, Ploxer says card down, please, and he says slapstick is an entirely different form of contact for family TV. Herc says death like in Death Charge.
Yes.
And hi, Herc says hungry. Herc says, hey, hungry for UFO tonight. You should put the 3 hey so I can go the hey.
See you in jail.
And Phantom's going Herc. And Herc's going Phantom.
Hey, Herc 130. Hello.
Always good to see Herc.
Yeah, hey everybody in chat. I don't usually watch the chat much when I'm on here in the panel.
I'm gonna go check
everybody
real quick.
Where are we on the story? Are we here or did we go past it?
I know. I just had to talk with everybody because we're getting off topic too much.
Yeah, just go for it,
We
Pop.
need to stick on track.
Motor through.
Yeah, we got to get through this. This is, like I said, everybody. If you love this show, that's wonderful. But share if you can. Try to keep your thoughts to each specific episode, or we'll never get through it.
I didn't realize we were that far behind. I thought
we are. We're still in. I think we're still in scene 1 or act 1 of the script. I don't think we've gone through a third of the show yet.
Please just continue. Go along. Go for it.
So here's where Penny. I'm trying to remember exactly where we left off. Penny and Will are talking about Dr. Smith, and if I remember right, at this point he's missing. And Penny says she wonders why he didn't take the robot with him because she thought they were very good friends. So notice how she uses the word friend when they talk about the robot. So they're already treating it like it's a family member. And they say Dr. Smith was a whiz at getting the robot to do things for him. And this is where Will mentions that he even taught him how to play the guitar, which he did in a previous episode. In that episode, we also heard Bob May's voice. So essentially, guys, if you can remember, throughout the series, anytime you hear the robot singing, that'll be the actor Bob May inside of the robot. Whenever it's talking, that's the voiceover by Dick Tufeld. And there is a distinct difference. You can hear the difference.
Yeah, you can definitely hear the difference. Definitely.
Just as long as he came back. But Mother, I miss him. So now they're starting to regret thinking that they may have treated him a little too harshly. In fact, that's what Judy says. And Maureen understands that.
They really
I-
didn't.
I know.
were
They could have treated him a lot
considerate-
worse, I guess, huh? For what he did.
Exactly. No, they were helping him and everything, and they did everything the way they should. They're laying it on a bit thick here just because they're upset he's gone. They have a lot of sympathy that I don't know I don't know how much I would have.
But that's
Well,
a
the
great
only thing
point, Jill. That's a
what
great
I'm
point.
thinking is when it comes to that, we as an audience, we're watching this in less than an hour, or it's a whole hour episode. But I'm thinking maybe their sympathies are growing because we don't know. Maybe it could have been several hours that he's been missing. Maybe that's why it seems to be too quick to us and too rushed.
That
Because
makes sense.
it could be like 2 o'clock in the morning now, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it
Because
could be.
even I would start feeling bad if I knew somebody was out there and they could be suffering. Even if I was upset with them earlier, I would probably start feeling the same way. So I can understand that. But I know it seems a little rushed within a 1 hour episode. And thank you for getting through the slides, Jill. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
So that's
Yeah, that's a great line. Injustice
Right.
collectors.
Injustice collectors, right?
That's exactly what Smith is.
Exactly. That is the perfect description for him.
I thought that was the best line in the episode for myself personally, actually.
I agree with you too.
Right. And this is the scene I was mentioning earlier where this is a great part here that shows Penny and her character able to grow.
Penny's such a sweetie. I adore Penny's character. I just think she's lovely.
Yeah, Angela Cartwright is a great actress. When
she
got
was
older,
Yeah.
when she got older, she did a lot of great sci-fi movies as well as a few dramas, and she's just wonderful. She's just a great.
You're not thinking of her sister Veronica by any chance,
Yeah, a lot of people get them mixed up. I don't remember Angela doing much at all.
Angela did movies and TV for a while, but I think by like the late 70s or early 80s, she'd kind of retired.
Okay. And
Yeah, she got married. She got married, and I think she's still married to the same fellow, and they have a couple of kids. So I think she just, got married and had a happy life, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, she did. But then Veronica, right? That's the one that.
Yeah, Veronica did lots of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, she did lots. All right, let's continue.
Yeah, please continue, Pop.
I wanted to mention this is something about a prior scene that we were kind of talking about when Smith was taking the shower. And I'll run into this. We all know that science, Lost in Space never did let scientific accuracy or logic get in the way of spinning a tall yarn.
True.
Even so, should an audience, even a young one, be expected to suspend belief to the point of accepting that Dr. Smith's clothes will grow and then shrink? I don't want to blow it or ruin too much.
That's a good point.
Apparently, Irwin Allen, Tony Wilson, Peter Parker, and CBS felt that we should, since no effort was made to find a reasonable solution to the immense story problem.
Oh, yeah.
Another disappointing aspect in the episode is its introduction of low comedy into a previously dramatic situation. Case in point, Smith's hot shower in the middle of a heat spell with him and the robot singing Largo al Factotum from Giovanni Rossini's Italian opera, The Barber of Seville. Did this even resemble the Dr. Smith we had seen in the previous 8 episodes or the robot? The network's desire to take the menace out of these characters can be understood, considering the restrictions of family hour TV in the 1960s. But turning Smith into a buffoon was unwise. In the final act, the previously cunning character of Dr. Smith is reduced to little more than a whimpering, whining, sneezing, foot stomping, tantrum throwing, 20-foot tall child.
That's exactly my thoughts that I wanted to mention, but I'm still waiting because I don't want to do spoilers. But that's exactly my thoughts about why this episode for me doesn't work or was disappointing.
Right, and they knew they were aware of that even then. It says Peter Parker tried to explain away Smith's adolescent behavior with the line of dialogue given to John Robinson. Smith, the doctor, probably knows more about the action of that fruit on the pituitary gland than any of us. Shakes his head. But Smith, the victim, is in a state of shock and couldn't help himself even if he wanted to. That line helped a little, nonetheless. The integrity of the character and the series took their first hit in the final 15 minutes of this episode.
Yeah, I thought this was the big turning point in Smith's character from a sort of somewhat, creepy, dark, villainous fellow to basically, turning into a comedic buffoon in later episodes. Which disappointed
this happens
me.
again?
Oh, I
dear.
won't.
Is that
I
a
won't-
question?
I won't give spoilers, Jill. You'll have to watch like the rest of us.
Well, what's even
Oh, I
worse
think
is
I just ruined Jill's night. Sorry,
this
Jill.
scene is so weird. He says he would have transfigured the universe. What is he even talking about? He's not even.
I
I
have
know.
no idea. I have.
He's
This
just
is
Illusions
one,
of
why.
grandeur, right?
This is why Peter Parker's not my favorite Lost in Space writer, because I find some of his scripts kind of quite weird, actually.
Well, Jill.
I was hoping that the fruit was the thing making him loopy, but it didn't turn out that way.
He could
Yes.
be maybe he's hallucinating.
Hey, Jill. He's just talking out of his ass because his mouth knows better.
That's a good one, Gorilla.
That makes sense. And
Okay.
the tape recorder, they didn't really try to sci-fi it up, did they?
No, not much.
No, good old fashioned reel to reel,
Yep.
which still has and by the way, reel to reel, it still has fantastic audio quality because it's analog, so it actually sounds better than digital, like a CD or DVD. So it's the next best thing to a record.
Yeah,
But
reel
you
to
just
reel
won't
is
find
awesome.
record. You just won't find reel to reels anymore. But often you go into a recording studio, and that for many years that's what they would use.
Okay, I'm back.
Welcome
Hey.
back.
Thank
Hello.
you, Jill. I took like what your kids call a potty break. Sorry about
There you go.
He's a
that.
little Judd.
So with it, Smith is pretty much giving his eulogy and his life testimonial into the tape recorder, and decides to bury it next to a flag on an abandoned alien planet. Like, who's going to find it or care? But hey, without this, the Robinsons wouldn't be able to find him, right?
Is that a Dr. Smith flag? I can't remember what the flag had on it now.
Oh, it has his handkerchief.
Oh, God.
When
Oh,
Robinson
man.
finds it,
That
his
figures.
initial, it's monogrammed, right? It's right. So yeah, it's his
Yeah,
handkerchief.
I
So
kind
he
of
did
thought
think
so.
about that when he put the flag together. So at this point, he takes the reel to reel the case, and then buries it in the sand, and then continues on his journey down the hill. And this is the scene I mentioned earlier where they had to haul in all the sand for this particular episode.
Yeah, that must have been a pain hauling all that sand in.
Well, in those studios, they had those sound stages. They had that big rolling door that would roll up. So I guess that's how they brought in the bulldozer.
They must have brought dump trucks in full of sand or something.
Yeah, which I thought's good. They did go through the effort, considering that you've got to film every episode in 5 days
Oh,
or
that's
less.
great. Yeah, I agree. That's great.
I think somebody's doing dishes.
Yeah, I might do some of those later.
Okay,
Let's touch
Gorilla.
on- yeah.
I was just going to say that, Gorilla. Thank you.
Hungry says Hola Phantom. Phantom says Hola Hungry. Hark says hello to the enchanting Jill. Hand pink waving. Jim says hello.
Hello, Jim. Good to see you there. Good to see you, Jim.
Hello,
Jim.
Jim's Landscape. How's it going?
Yeah, he's got a great channel. Check it out, everyone.
And Phantom says, damn it, at Jim's Landscaping. Jim says, crap bloomer, lol. Here's PvP's channel.
There we go.
Hey, thank you.
Hey!
Bryce Burchett, I don't recognize you. Welcome, welcome.
Hey,
Yeah, hi,
guys.
Bryce.
we got a new person in chat, I
Right,
think.
and we welcome everyone like family. So welcome, Bryce. Good to see you, and I hope you enjoy the stream. If you do, maybe consider hitting the like button and maybe subbing to my channel. We've
Yeah,
got a lot of
I-
sci-fi stuff on here and things I think you might enjoy. So thank you, Bryce.
Yeah, Bryce
agree with
says
Bryce,
he says I had such a crush on Penny when I was a kiddie.
Yeah, me
And
too,
I
Bryce.
completely agree. Yes,
I thought
and I
Angela was
was right.
just so cute.
And I could see that the one who played Judy was just as beautiful. But I was a young kid too, so yeah, my heart was
Yeah.
for Penny.
Well, I
Yeah.
thought Judy was nice, but I just thought Penny was just adorably cute.
Yeah. All right. Bryce says, married. Darn it. Was hoping that maybe I still have a shot with her.
Well, I think it's a little too late.
Yeah.
I kind of, I still have a big crush on her, but
Well, it would say it's never too late. We knew she's still alive, and I'm not aware of her
yeah.
marital status. Maybe she's
Hey.
single.
I
You
think
never
she's
know.
been married to the same guy since the
Yeah.
'70s. So
Hey, you can always take your shot. You're just probably never going to go anywhere.
I think the only shot. I think the only shot I can take is in my glass here. So
Yeah, I'm still
I'm
hoping
like
that
gorilla.
Yeah,
Hey,
I'm still hoping that Phoebe Cates will come to her senses and not come knocking on my door. But
Oh,
I
there
don't
you
think that's
go.
going to happen.
There
I
you
was
go.
just gonna
No,
tell Bryce, hey Bryce, check out Veronica and Angela Cartwright's IMDb, and it will tell you for sure if they're married or single or if they're divorced or
Or
what.
better yet, if you're on that old thing called Facebook, they're on there as well because I have them, and Billy Mooney does a lot of talking and sharing. Like they're still writing books, they're still getting together like a family. They're going out to dinner a lot, and there's links to their Facebook profiles.
Yeah, I think
And
it's
I
great that the cast is always kept in touch. I think that's really
right,
really nice.
I
Yeah,
haven't
I
seen
think
them
it's
on
awesome.
Twitter that I know of, but I know they're on Facebook.
That's
All
cool.
right. Stream Element says, giving out Jim's channel. Hungry says, laughing my ass off, Jill is right. I loved Dr. Smith as a kid, but it only takes one careless person to burn down a house.
Yes.
So, taking away the match is deportation. Too bad, as I thought at age 5. Jill says, hail Phantom Boomer. Bryce said, space clothes, nanotechnology, they can shrink and grow. They are made of some smart material or memory material, maybe even smart matter.
Good
Well,
point.
that's always possible.
Could
Yeah.
be.
But
Yeah,
there's took.
Hungry. I
Go ahead.
understand that you still want someone to survive even when they're doing bad things, but it felt to me like it was a little too much all of a sudden. They've never acted this way towards Smith before. And I
No,
was
maybe
wondering if it could just be the dehydration acting on them too, making them overly compassionate.
That's
That's a good point,
possible.
Joe. But yeah, because it's early
Could
in
be.
it's still early in season 1, right? There was only how many total episodes?
I think there's 29 in season 1, so we're like not even a third of the way through yet, basically.
Right.
Yeah,
What are
we're
we on
not even
number
through
9
that.
now?
All right, Hungry says, at Bryce Burchett, unstable molecules from 1960 Marvel Comics. Jim says, I grew up with Lost in Space and watched many times.
Oh yes, same
As we all
here.
did,
Same
Joe.
here.
As we
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
did.
This
Yeah.
is the Phantom Boomers channel. Phantom says, dishes and most of the laundry done, waiting for the dryer to stop.
Oh wow. I wish I was
Uh,
that ambitious on a Monday. I'm going to wait till Friday night.
Well,
Yeah, and I've
that's
got a load I got to do after the stream, so I
I gotta
understand.
figure out why my electric mower won't start.
And you got to
Oh.
watch Wolf in the Fold.
For
Did
all
you?
Oh
the
yeah, that's
women,
right. That's right. Reminder everybody. Well, we have a Star Trek TOS review tomorrow on Jill's
Oh.
planet, not planet channel, and we're going to be covering the fantastic Star Trek TOS episode Wolf in the
Uh,
Fold. So
a
be there or
Scotty
be square.
episode. A
Jill?
Scotty episode.
Red Jack!
Red Jack, Red Jack, Red Jack.
Red Jack, Red Jack, Red Jack.
Sorry.
All right, before we go off on tangent here, if Floxer makes me drink, which I think he's slacking here. For all the movies plus, the Gary Oldman version tried to blend the menace with the I'm a Coward comedy fits fairly well. Laughing my hoe, uh, Parker Posey Smith is good too.
Wait. Where? I don't see that. Where is that?
Oh,
Oh, there it is. Thanks.
the failed plot had no Smith. And he says,
Well, for all the wait, go back. I want to read that. For all the movie's flaws, the Gary Oldman version tried to blend the menace with the I'm a Coward comedy bits fairly well, in my opinion. Parker Posey Smith is good too. That failed pilot had no Smith. Right? You guys know that. That's right. We hadn't brought that up. There was a pilot they tried to shoot that didn't. The failed pilot. I think you're talking about the first episode of Lost in Space. And yes, we're going to be covering that, Bryce, during this stream because we covered it during the first 5 episodes how they took the original pilot and cut it up and then split it out throughout the episodes.
Yep.
But before this
We'll
season
be-
is over, I am going to show the unaired pilot that you're speaking of, Bryce.
Aren't you
that the studio
planning on-
rejected.
Pop, aren't you planning on watching that one last after we do all the season 1 episodes?
Yeah, what I should have done maybe is show it right after after episode 5, maybe as number 6, but I
Hmm.
didn't want to throw people out of whack,
Well, the thing
so I
is,
will
though,
show it after episode 29.
yeah, I think that would be the best plan because you kind of want to keep the momentum going for the rest of the season through episode 29. I would. That's what my opinion is anyway. So
Well, no, that's true. That's why I'm doing it the way I am, right?
yeah, I think that
I
would
didn't want to,
work.
and also not to cause confusion.
Well, the thing
Right.
is too, it's since it's the unaired pilot, and as you mentioned, it basically is the first 5 episodes, pretty much. So it's kind of repetitious if you've seen the first 5 on our streams before. So
Yep. So I
just saying.
recommend, right? I recommend Bryce if you can hang around with us on through our watch parties, and when we get close to the end, we will be covering that unaired pilot and explain and show how it was cut up throughout the first 5 episodes.
Hmm.
All right.
So very good point, Bryce. Thank you.
Yeah, Bryce says, hiya. He says, Trusty Ape sent me over. I already subbed and liked. Well, thank you.
Very cool. Thank you, Trusty Ape.
They think he's laughing at the comment about taking a shot that probably won't get anywhere. Hunter says, the Oldman Smith. Oh, the pain.
Oh, the pain.
Pain! Oh,
I
the
give it,
pain!
right, regardless of the movie and regardless of the horrible, I won't mention the name, producer and writer of the movie. Gary Oldman did put a lot of effort into it, so I think that I give him props for his portrayal of Dr. Smith. So that I
Well,
will not mind.
Gary Oldman is a pretty damn good actor. So
Well, he's
yeah,
a
that
top
makes
shelf
sense.
actor. I remember when it was announced he was playing Dr. Smith, I was very surprised.
Yeah.
I was.
Well,
And of
he's
course,
not
somebody has
afraid.
the blower outside. Sorry for the noise, guys.
He doesn't seem to be afraid of taking on a lot of various roles, so I'm not totally surprised he decided, what the hell, let's do Dr. Smith, right? So,
Yeah. I'm glad he did that. He did. I'm actually.
And
glad he
his,
did.
regardless of how bad that movie is, his character stood out above the rest of them. He's the only one that was memorable out of all of them.
uh, well, he was in like The Fifth Element too, right?
Oh, he was in The Fifth Element. He was in Bram
Yeah.
Stoker's Dracula and a whole bunch of good stuff.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of good stuff. Yeah, he was great in that. Anyway, should we get back to the
Yes.
episode before we
Yeah.
get sidetracked totally?
Bryce says, I think she is still married. I looked, lol.
Yeah, I
Aw.
believe she is
Don't-
with 2
Hunter
kids.
says, yep, dehydration, panic, dehydration causes
Cognitive
Cognitive.
Difficulties. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I had that problem just a few weeks ago, actually, so I completely understand.
All right, this is Euler Greg's channel. So
Go
Very
ahead.
cool.
it says,
Joe.
yay, and it is still planet. No typo.
Nope, that's right. That's right.
So are we voting to rename Earth here or what?
Now remember, this planet that they're on is Pre-Planus. So they do mention that within one of the episodes. I can't remember which episode, but that is officially the name of this planet is Pre-Planus.
Okay, so it's not Planet Jill. Okay.
No, it's
Well,
not
we
Planet
could call
Jill.
it
But maybe
Planet Jill.
right. Maybe we could speak to the people in charge.
Sure, why not?
And
We call it
alrighty.
Planet Jill. Jill's planet.
And Plaxer is refraining from declaration and itemization.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Oh, here we go. Yay.
Good job, girl.
Says,
Oh man.
unstable molecules. Love it.
Absolutely.
Hungry says Bryce Pritchett. It was the excuse for Mr. Fantastic's outfit to stretch with him, like Smith's outfit growing, as why Johnny Storm's uniform didn't burn up. Goes back before 65.
That's a good point too.
Absolutely, yes.
Hey, whatever happened to the burrito outfits?
That was their space flight outfits when they're in space.
Why do they need those in space?
Well, maybe in case they remember when they had to go out and then work on the exterior of the ship, they just attached the helmets. So I'm guessing those were their state of the art. And remember, those suits were also being used by NASA. NASA was testing them at the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, Also, even though these episodes were filmed in the late 60s, the time frame that this is supposed to be happening is in the late 90s. Like they launched in 1997.
Yes.
Yeah, so
So here we have Dr. Smith haplessly wandering through the desert, and they're establishing. I like this too, that they did build this up where they're establishing the trees. That he's wandering through these dead trees, and now we cut to the next day. I guess the sun's up, and here we go. The guys are out looking for Smith, and they're trying to follow his path or footsteps, and they're saying, "Well, he must be around here somewhere." And they say, "Well, if they find that, what if they find him dead?" And Don says, "Well, don't be surprised if I give out 3 loud cheers." So Don
Yes!
does say that,
Automatic A for that.
yes,
right? And then of course Will says, "Shame on you," pretty much. That's kind of cruel, Don.
Oh,
Now, what do you? And then Don says he was joking. Now, what do you call stealing one good fuel cell? So that's what happened when Dr. Smith left. He took the only good remaining working fuel cell out of their machine, and now it's not working at all. So that's not good at all. That's a very good reason to be upset with especially if Dr. Smith goes and kicks the bucket while he has it. They'll never find it.
right.
Yeah. Now I got a question. Like throughout these last few episodes, there have you been? I can't remember the oldest daughter's name. Arlene, is it?
Judy.
Or Judy? Have you been feeling like there's something brewing between Judy and Donna? I'm not talking about sex, but like,
No, they've already made that clear.
Yeah.
In the episode The Hungry Sea, Penny says that she saw the two of them actually holding hands, even.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So I did miss something. Alrighty.
Right. I don't know if they've gotten as far as kissing yet.
No, but it's understood. It's understood that they have a relationship. It is understood.
And here we have Maureen is checking. They're back at the Jupiter too, and Maureen is checking on the lab experiment, and she's checking through the slides to see about the fermentation on the sample from the fruit. And so this is where Professor Robinson calls her on the radio to get an update on what it's doing, and she shares the information to him. And there's any change? She says yes, and now it's starting to clump, which is not a good sign. She says.
Yeah, well, she also says there's black bacterial growth.
Yes, which that doesn't sound good. I don't think I'd want to eat something with black bacterial growth on it.
That sounds very moldy, like mold.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good.
Not at all.
And here's where Penny.
Here we go.
Right, here's where Penny calls in to the window, and we see that Debbie is now turned into the wonderful Janice Prohaska. So we have Janice Prohaska playing the grown-up Debbie here. And I've mentioned him before in previous episodes of Star Trek and Lost in Space that he did many things. In fact, they talk about him a little. I'll need to find it here again. But because you'll recognize that the face of the ape, he uses the same one on Gilligan's Island as well as many other shows like Out of Lucy and everything else. Or Here's Lucy at the time.
Yes.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I figured it had to be like a human actor in the costume on this scene. So.
Right, and whenever the studio, and this was all the studios in Hollywood, when they needed an actor to be playing a creature, they pretty much called Janos. He had a calling card that he would play monsters, apes, gorillas. He was also, yes.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and did you notice, Pop, that most of the aliens in the series were oversized? That was on purpose. They had to
right. Well, like he played the Horda, and they had to get a person to fit inside that costume.
That's so cool.
For sure. Yeah.
Right, and which we covered then when we watched that episode.
We did.
His card was like monster for hire. Call me.
Yeah.
I think it's so funny.
Oh, I found a production note.
Oh.
That game they were playing is Interstellar Monopoly.
Wow.
Oh, that was a real board game?
It was just for the episode, but it was in the script. And it says, despite the network's concerns, Mark Goddard, who played Don, played the agony for it all it was worth. However, the name of the game was modified to Interstellar Monopoly, with a change to both the board and the playing pieces, so not to infringe on anyone's copyright.
Isn't the use of the name Monopoly an infringement, though?
Well, that's why they didn't mention the name. You notice in the episode itself, they didn't mention it. We wouldn't know that unless I had read it from this book.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, otherwise Parker Brothers would have made a big mistake or, a big fuss about it. They probably would have
Right.
said,
You would think, yeah.
yeah.
Hired to play the supersized Debbie, as well as creating the ape suit, was Janos Prohaska. He made a career out of designing ape and monster suits, and then wearing those suits in various TV series. He was Darwin the monkey in The Sixth Finger of the Outer Limits, a big white ape in the Fatal Cargo episode of Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, Bobo the gorilla in an episode of Land of the Giants, as well as a second unnamed gorilla in another episode from the series. He was Olga the dancing bear in an episode of The Munsters. For Gilligan's Island, he appeared as an ape 3 times, once abducting Lovey Howell, another time lobbing grenades in the castaway's direction.
My
He
God.
played a bear, a gorilla, and a dodo bird in various episodes of Bewitched. Prohaska
Wow.
was also one of the resident monster maker players on Star Trek, the man behind and inside the Horda in Devil in the Dark, the Magato in A Private Little War, and Yarnet, the super hot clawed rock-based monster in The Savage
Cool.
Curtain.
Nice.
His most steady
Nice.
work was on the Andy Williams Show, where he was a regular playing Cookie Bear. Prohaska would return to space to play the giant bird monster alongside Gary's guest star Wally Cox in season 2's The Forbidden World. And that's a lot of info I was going to share on. Like I've told Jill for months now, I've been putting together a little video about Janos, and I've got a lot of clips. And I'm just horrible at writing a script and putting the words on page, but I promise everybody I will get that completed. And it has some behind the scenes photos of what he looked like, and
That's
that
so cool.
he had a son that he was training to take over for him.
That's so cool.
I'm so glad you shared that with us, Pop, because I never knew any of this stuff. And like, talk about an incredibly, interesting and kind of, quite frankly, bizarre career playing, various monsters, through all these shows. It's like, wow, like what an interesting guy. Yeah. Hopefully you'll finish your video and upload it one of these days. I'd really like to learn more about him as a person, right?
I definitely plan on it.
Yeah, I'd like
Because-
to see
No,
what it
no
looks
hurry,
like.
but eventually.
Well,
Yeah, I'd like
what's especially fascinating is he was really doing a lot. He was very active in Hollywood.
Sounds like
And like I said, he was training his son to work with him, and both of them met their untimely end in a plane crash in 1974.
Oh,
oh
no.
crap.
Yeah,
That
so
sucks.
that's why suddenly after 1974, you never saw him appear in anything.
Well, that makes sense.
Right? He was doing a documentary,
Wow.
He was doing a
Oh.
semi documentary on primates and the beginning of Neanderthals.
Damn.
And yeah, there was a plane crash up here in the California
that
mountains.
sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks so bad.
Yeah, wasn't their plane crash similar to what happened to Roberto Clemente when he died in 71? Wasn't it
Who's that?
similar?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I'm familiar with that name.
Oh, well, Roberto Clemente, who was that famous baseball player that died in a plane crash while he
Oh,
was trying to deliver, supplies to, ravaged people in, I think it was in Managua, Nicaragua.
yeah, I
he
thought I
died.
remember Clemente as a baseball guy. Yeah.
Right, and he died in a plane crash. So when you were talking about Janusz and his son, I think they died in a similar crash, if I wasn't mistaken.
Well,
Yeah. 3
that's
years
really
later.
sad.
3 years later,
Really
very
sad.
sad. Yeah.
Anyway, Pop, if you want to continue and get through the episode.
No, that is very possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us, Mikey.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, so here's where we
Very
have.
good, Mikey.
Should we catch up on chat real quick?
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Gorilla.
Please do. Yes, Gorilla. That'll give me a chance to look for something here. Go ahead, Gorilla. Thank you.
Yeah, so Bryce says, no, I mean the early 2000s failed pilot. No Dr. Smith, but they had the original voice of the robot.
Oh, that's
but a
right.
bad
There was.
robot
Yes,
design.
that's right.
Yeah,
There was a pilot that was never aired. Thank you. Sorry about that. I forgot. Thank you for clarifying that.
And they had a bad robot design, and they added an extra kid. The original 60s unaired pilot is worth a peek. I remember the pilot was a lot darker and more
Ooh,
serious.
very cool.
No carrot people. LOL.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
At the end of this season we should be watching that one, right? Can't wait.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that's the last episode in the series, though, Jill. So don't you want to wait for another 2 years or whatever?
No.
I'm teasing you.
Oh,
Sorry.
Hungry says, care people are
Hey,
for deep
hey,
fishing.
to be quite honest with Jill, if you guys all agreed to watch that one at the end of season 1, I would not be opposed because it is a trip. It is a trip.
It's hilarious.
Bryce
It's
says,
amazing.
now I mean
It's
that-
like how I watched The Cage as my first TOS episode, even though it came out way after the series ended.
Oh, interesting way to do it.
I'll just put it this way. It was
Well, you were there.
the last episode of the series in 1969. I saw it as a kid back in the day. And all those decades later, I can honestly say I don't think I've ever seen any episode of TV more weird, bizarre, and crazy than that one. It is a mind trip. If you think Spock's brain is crazy, it's like child's play compared to Great Vegetable Rebellion.
Right, and I'm sorry I misunderstood, Jill. I thought you were referring to when you watched Star Trek in college when you were first exposed to it. So sorry about that. And Bryce says, I mean the original 60s pilot.
Oh,
with the
I got
weird
you.
aliens.
I got you. Yeah,
Okay.
I watched it in broadcast order that time because that's how the website had it. And
Gotcha. So I mean the original 60s pilot with the weird alien spaceship. I think he's talking about the Derelict. And I think those old black and white episodes still tried to stay serious, kind of. But anyway, I'm going to have to check out the episode that you are reviewing. And you're right. We've spoken about that when the series Batman 66 hit big and popular. The people in charge of a lot of these shows, including this one, just decided totally to a 90-degree turn and change it to camp.
Yeah.
So for better or for worse, we will get to that. Yeah.
Well, it was like season 3, A Man from U.N.C.L.E. suffered from the same fate, right?
What? You mean this is Lost in Space being serious?
Yeah, I know for all what that means. Yes. No, Debbie, bloody blathering bloops.
Season 1 generally was quite serious, though.
It was.
All right. So Hungry says, no, Debbie, bloody, blithering, blathering bloops.
That still makes me laugh.
And Bryce says, the silver suits. Yep, I call them the burrito suits because they wrap them up like nice little burritos in them.
Well,
and then you cook them and they don't burn. They don't cook on the inside.
Right. Yeah. And Angela Cartwright did say in an interview that they were very stiff and hot. And we even shared a photo where they weren't able to even sit down correctly in those things. They had to lie on a board.
I remember you showed Will on a board. That was kind of cool.
That was cool. Yeah, it was cool.
He's like, that's right. The series was set in the 90s. I wonder if Will Robinson is a Nirvana fan.
The actor Bill Mumy is in a rock band, so it is very likely. Hungry Boy met him and smoked a cigarette with him even.
Probably did.
Yeah. I remember reading that the studio or network always wanted to apply a relationship, but they also forbid Ginny and Don from showing any physical affection or doing anything other than implying feelings.
Yes, that was the ratings at the time.
Yeah.
The Family Hour. Yet, even that you guys will notice there's not even kissing between the mother and the father when they're a married couple.
Well, they hugged a lot.
Well, in the early episodes, but then what happened was they call it practices. Would come down and start complaining. So I think the last time we saw them showing affection was a few episodes back where they held hands.
Yeah,
and I don't know if we'll get any after that.
Most of the time, it seems like all they would do is like stare into each other's eyes with that longing look, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and the sleeping arrangements, right? I mean, they never shared a bed. You never saw them in a bedroom.
No, they all had their own
ship or anything.
Hey, even Professor Robinson Marine had their separate quarters, I believe, right on the ship.
That's right, they did. Yeah.
Well, they never established if Maureen had a separate quarters or not. We've seen him in there writing in his diary, or the ship's log, but we don't know. They've never actually established her having her own separate quarters.
I imagine they would have.
We don't know.
Because all shows back in the mid '60s were pretty much like that. I remember Dick Van
That's
Dyke,
probably why they didn't. That's probably why they didn't cover it.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
Because everybody, even the audience, would have been like, "What? That doesn't make sense."
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a weird standard back then, I guess.
So Bryce says that is too bad. A Lost in Space wedding on the Jupiter 2 would have been a cool episode. They could take the chariot out on a honeymoon, run into some weird aliens, and you have a good basis for an episode. That's
That
true.
could
You
have
could have
been.
done
That could
that.
have been. Yeah, that could have been really good, actually.
I would have enjoyed that. That would have been
Well,
cool.
that's
I'd vote. I'd vote for
and,
that.
well, yeah, I mentioned earlier that years later, Bill Mooney wrote a script where we get caught up. It was in the '80s when we get caught up with the Robinson family, and then that's what would have happened in that script. That Judy and Dom would have been married.
That
But
would have
since
been
we've
cool.
caught up with on the since we've but Irwin Allen wouldn't have any part of it, and he was very upset. And he said, "No
Yeah.
one's going to make a remake of Lost in Space unless it's me." And of course, he took those words to his grave.
Sure he did.
But I
Oh
wanted to
well.
show this clip really quick here,
Go for it.
since we mentioned it,
Awesome.
because I was talking. I think somebody's doing something. I don't know.
Here's adjusting.
This is a clip because we were talking a moment ago about Janos Prohaska, who played the ape and the monsters in so many episodes.
Cool.
So I've got a clip from the old black and white game show called "I've Got a Secret," which I'm going to show you guys,
awesome.
Oh,
and
yeah,
that'll
that's
give you
good.
guys a little idea of what he looked like.
I'm looking
Okay.
forward to this.
For copyright reasons, as you guys know, there will be no audio, and I won't be able to play it, but I'll skip through the slides. Maybe
That's
play a
cool.
second or two.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what he looks like. Oh, that's him. Wow.
That's the host of the show, actually.
Oh, that's the host. Okay.
That's the host
Well, so much for
of the
my
show.
ideas.
Here's where he's introducing the character.
Okay. Don't you just love these old 50s game shows?
Wow.
And one of the things I read about Janos was in extremely great physical shape. He was very muscular. Sorry,
He must
now's
have
when
been.
my dog decides to pitch in. But here,
Well, any guy that can jump up on the desk like that has got some moves, I'll tell you.
right, he jumped from the ground up to the desk.
Yeah. And in a costume, like the big furry thing, too, right?
That's so
And here-
cute.
And
Oh,
here he
that's
is
hilarious.
handing up the roll.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Sorry,
I
I've got
love the
neighbors
sponsor
outside
by
that
the
are
cigarette
arguing.
tobacco company here, too. That's pretty good.
Right, this is the days where everything was sponsored by tobacco. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
That's
Tobacco
insane.
smoking was actually good for your health back then, I've heard.
right, you could go to see your
True.
doctor and they'd have a cigarette sticking out of their mouth. And
3 out of
unfortunately,
4 doctors agreed.
right, unfortunately,
Exactly. Exactly.
as we all know, due to greedy marketing, many people, generations, because of this, were addicted to smoking. It turned them on to smoking, and many died at an early age, all to feed the tobacco companies. So it was a
Yep.
reprehensible time in American television and advertising.
True. I'm going to sing a song.
And what he's mostly doing is just running around and goofing off, of course. And now remember, now Janos is in his suit, so he's not going to talk. Yeah.
Right.
Ah.
And what he's doing is he's playing around under the desk. And
Uh-oh.
I think Gary Marshall is with the host name.
What's he doing
And
under
he's
the
trying to
desk?
play with them. What they're trying to do in this game show, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
is the panelists are trying to what they do is they introduce the celebrity, and then the panelists are trying to figure out who he is and what he does. So that's why he's acting like an ape to confuse them. They haven't mentioned the part that he's an actor in Hollywood yet.
Okay, why is it titled Coco? Should have been titled Bloop.
Well, that's because he looks like Coco the chimp. Yeah, that's
But it would
This
have
was
been more
his
fun.
Coco suit.
yeah.
Well, this is his
It would have been
Coco
more
suit
fun.
that I mentioned.
Oh,
that
yeah.
he-
Oh, okay. Right.
That we
No ears.
mentioned earlier.
No ears. I get it.
Yeah, and this is I've Got a Secret. That's Gary Moore is the host.
Yeah,
And,
Gary Moore. But Coco the Chimp was one of his actual suits that he used that I mentioned earlier in one of his shows.
That's right.
I can
The
honestly say
suits had names.
Yes.
I can honestly say I'm not old enough to even remember this show, which is a bloody relief, I must say.
Oh no, it's a great show, and that you could still see it on YouTube. I watch it all the time, and I was watching it on the Game Show Network when the Game Show was really big.
I'll have to
Yeah.
check it out one of these weekends. Yeah.
These
one-
shows were great at the time. There he
that's
is.
awesome.
He's
What?
very agile, I must say.
Yeah.
I'll
one of
get
my
through this quick as
favorite-
possible.
Yeah, one of my favorite celebrity contestants to this day on the show was Tony Randall. He did a great
There he
He
is.
was always funny.
There he is.
Yeah.
He's a handsome fellow. He's much better looking than the Horta, that's for sure.
He's got big eyes too. You know what I'm saying?
He's a very handsome guy.
Yeah, but I mean, his big eyes, it just kind of pokes out.
It makes me even sadder now that he crashed in a plane in '74. Man.
And now I feel even worse. Yeah. He
Yeah.
looked great.
He
Yeah.
looks like a
Thank you
fine
guys.
dude.
Sorry for that. Okay, now we're back to where we left off. And that's him in that
Yeah, that was
suit.
cool.
That was,
it was good seeing him.
That was
it was
fun.
yeah, because believe me, I'm sure most of you guys went through your lives without ever knowing what he looked like. So
I
I'm glad
never
had
even
that clip.
knew who was in these suits actually till tonight.
Yeah, I would have never. I learned something new.
Well,
That's all
know
good
his
day
name.
when you learn something.
And
Stay
knowing
tuned
it's
and I-
half the battle.
Yeah,
And
stay
knowing
tuned.
it's
and I
half the
will-
battle.
I will try- skip it.
Nice
So-
one, Jill.
So
Go ahead,
here
Bob.
is where they find Dr. Smith's memorial, and
Zachary
this is where
Zachary
and they,
Smith.
right, and they even see the ZS on the handkerchief, so they know that it's his.
Right.
And then they dig, thinking that maybe they'll find the missing piece, but no, they find the reel of Dr. Smith, and they say, "Well, we'll take it back with us." Maybe he mentioned somewhere in there where he left the component. But I guess I can go with instructions for some wild goose treasure hunt, is what Don says, which is funny. So here we have where Dr. Smith wakes up from a nap. And now remember, at this point, he's realizing he's alive, but he doesn't realize any change around him. But this is where, using forced perspective and miniatures, they change the trees out for bushes to give him the illusion of him being much taller. And I like
That's
that.
that's what I thought. Is they use something to scale, and so he's actually there, but everything else is smaller.
It's very
Yes.
well done.
Very well
Yes.
done. Well, for the
Forced
60s.
perspective. We're going to get a lot of that in this episode.
Yeah.
Like here,
Oh, yeah.
if anybody's wondering how this is done, and it's all in one shot, no special effects.
Yeah.
It's just he's standing on a high platform with the camera over his shoulder looking down at them with both in focus, which gives him the illusion of being much taller.
So we still did get some high camera shots in this episode. Then.
Yes, they were probably up on a crane.
Hmm.
And,
And here we get,
oh, so
and here
go
we
ahead.
get here we get split screen.
Yeah, I
So
figured this
there-
must be a special effect, right? Yeah.
Right. This is the split screen where the tree is dividing the two. So they shoot a normal sized actor, Jonathan Harris, on the left, and then they superimpose that and they split the screen with using the tree. I hate to give away special effects, kids, but this show is like 60 years old. I hope I'm not ruining it for you. But that's how we're able to get the shot of the guys over on the right where they're looking much smaller.
I think it's still, for its day, very, very well done. It still holds up really good. I
It
think.
does.
I think it does too. And Gorilla and I are probably thinking, oh, why isn't Smith stepping on them right now?
Yeah. Well, I would think
well-
that he would want to take advantage of his height in some way. But
Well, at
you would
this
think
point,
so. You would
at this
think
point,
so.
they. Oh, never mind. Okay,
I
so
think
Smith
Smith is-
throws. You guys need to let me talk.
Go,
Please.
go. Let's get it.
Go,
They
go.
explain here in the episode. He still has not realized what happened.
Right.
That's why he didn't try to stomp on them.
Oh,
Ah.
okay.
Yeah, you got. Yeah, please. I don't like
Sorry,
doing
Paul.
that. I don't like interrupting. But I mean,
No,
they cover it right in
I
the
will
episode if
shut
you
up.
watch it.
No, I'm sorry, Paul.
And I'm not-
well,
I'm
yeah,
not
I
asking
did
you guys
watch
to
it. I
shut up.
did understand that he doesn't know he's a giant, but he thinks that the trees are bushes or something.
Well, right.
But
He will realize in a few minutes when they tell him when he threw that tree, he still didn't realize. He thought he's standing at a distance from them. And they even said he doesn't realize yet what happened. Once he does, then he starts acting differently, but he doesn't use it in anger. He starts using it in self-pity. So but it's just that if you guys give it a chance to get to the next scene, we would see that. I'm sorry.
So sorry, Paul.
No, it's all right. But I'm just saying they explain it right here in the episode.
Go for it.
See, this is where Don says he threw the tree like it was a mile away. So they say that they don't think that he's realized the change yet, which he doesn't. And he even said, and they asked Maureen, because this is Maureen tells him over the radio that Debbie has also grown in size. And then John asked her, is she hostile? And she says, no. But is she violent? And she says, no, she's playful as a lamb. So they realize that Dr. Smith's emotional state has not changed, only his physical state, and then maybe he doesn't realize yet about the difference. And this is where they explain to him, and then now he's starting to realize. Even Don says, "Well, if he tries anything, we'll shoot him." They say, "Well, you can't shoot him." But then now is where we realized Dr. Smith starts when they explain to him what happened. Now he realizes. In fact, it's when Will goes out and talks to him. That's why Will says, "Can I go out and talk to him?" He listens to me. And then when he goes out there, and then Will tells him that he changed in size, that he hasn't quite accepted it. And then that's when he realizes it. But he, like I said, he doesn't use anger and try to stomp on them. And here's another forced perspective shot. So he's basically up on a dune of sand, and they got the camera right behind his legs, and it gives the appearance that Will is small, when in actuality it's just the actor Billy Mooney standing probably about 12, 15 feet away from the camera.
And forced perspective. Yeah.
I do like these shots with the feet. They're pretty cool.
That is cool.
Well, it's a little exaggerated too, because since Dr. Smith is supposed to be supposedly playing a giant, he starts to move in slow, exaggerated movements.
Yeah.
And this is where Will says, "You're as big as all these trees." And then he even says, "You mean these bushes?" So it still hasn't quite dawned on him yet. But this is why Will's talking to him. And he even says that can't be. Being a man of science, I'm guessing. He didn't say it. But I'm guessing being a man of science and a doctor, that's why it's hard for his mind to accept it. He doesn't, because it's not physically possible, he's saying. He even says it's an optical illusion. He tells Will, he goes, "Come out from in that ditch," or whatever it was. He used something similar. And then, well, I don't remember the exact word, but Will says, Dr. Smith tells him, "Come out from under it was, I don't know, I can't remember if it was a hole or a ravine or what." And then Will said, "I'm not in a hole or a ravine." And this is where he's trying to convince him to realize that he's grown. The only way that you probably wouldn't realize it if you haven't seen this episode, or if you haven't seen it in a long time, I'm guessing. Maybe your memory doesn't serve quite as well. But Will's trying to show him that the positive side of it is that he'd be able to get bird's eggs without even climbing. And that doesn't seem to cheer Dr. Smith up very much. In fact, it depresses him all the more. He realizes that now, I hate to put words into the episodes that aren't in the script, but he's starting to realize that he's alone and lonely, because he even says that now he's much bigger than everyone else. Can you guys hear the background of people yelling on my mic?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, something.
But it's not so bad.
But it's not that bad.
I don't know if the neighbors, if they're arguing or what. I apologize for that. That's why my dog was barking.
It's not that loud, actually, Pop. So I wouldn't be too concerned.
I think it's kind of funny that he's upset, thinking he can't go back to Earth because he'll be treated like a freak, but not because he won't be able to fit on the spaceship.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Right? It's not that you can't fit on the spaceship. It's like, what happens when you get back to Earth, right?
Yeah, well, the thing is, too, Smith's going to be sleeping outside from now on, right?
Oh, yeah. Right. Yes,
where he belongs.
No more Jupiter 2, right? And he even says that when they get back to, well, I don't want to give away because we haven't got to that scene yet, but when he gets back to Jupiter 2, he says that, and the Marine says, "We'll build you a bed."
That's going to be one big frickin' bed.
I don't know what the neighbors are arguing about. Where's my hand grenade? I just need to toss it out the window. That'll shut them up.
Where are those laser pistols when you need them, right?
Yeah, exactly, right? Actually, I need to go out there and watch. That's more exciting than, oh, there it is.
Oh, shit.
Someone getting shot?
What the hell? Are they shooting each other?
What's going on?
Man, this is probably the most exciting, intense game of Lost in Space so far.
Oh, I'm looking. They're celebrating, and those are fireworks.
Well,
Right. Sorry to disappoint you all. Sorry to let you down, but it's just fireworks.
No, if it wasn't fireworks, we'd have to go because
I thought we could be witnesses to a crime scene here. Oh, you want us to testify? Well, you know. Who the hell does fireworks in May, though?
Yeah,
especially in California, where they're definitely illegal right now, right? But yeah, hey.
No, but I can see, like, you know, at the usual times, like, you know, October or New Year's, but May? That's weird.
Well, May 5th is Cinco de Mayo, so I don't know. Maybe
Yeah,
there's
but that's 10
celebrating.
days ago, man.
I know,
Like, it could
But,
be.
you know,
It could be a wedding or something like that, possibly.
that's true. That's true. Could be.
Oh, that's probably the most plausible. Yeah.
Right. And I had to look
Anyway,
out the
please
window and I
continue.
saw sparks. I had to look out the window and I see sparks flying by. That's the only reason why I know it's fireworks and not
Oh,
gunshots.
good.
Yeah, please continue to the conclusion here.
Yeah, that's a relief. I'm glad
Right.
you're not in the middle of fire.
Yeah, I'm glad nobody's
Well,
getting
I hate it
murdered.
is. I'm going to grab my
Glad-
camera and go out there. I'm not going to miss this for anything.
I'm
I
glad
can
nobody's
live
getting
stream
murdered
this.
in your building tonight.
Oh, man.
Right.
Times
Well,
of passion.
and I was thinking it is out of place because this is I'm in San Leandro, which is relatively quiet. This isn't like Oakland or San Francisco, so it is surprising for this area to hear noises. If this was Oakland, this would definitely be firing and guns, guaranteed.
Yeah, I remember doing a stream. I think it was probably with Jill, and all of a sudden, my alarm, fire alarm in our building here in Scarborough went off, and people were going, "Oh, is there a fire? What's going on?" And I'm like, "No, somebody just pulled the alarm. They do that. They tend to draw the fire department out here, and then, they go, "Oh, there's nothing going on," and then we all say we suck. So,
Yeah, I guess I
Really?
should shout. I should shout out the window and tell them all to keep it down. I'm having a stream in here, right?
yeah,
You should. Say, hey,
You
keep it
should.
on, you
damn
butthead.
you all.
Right. I need to
Get
get me an
out
on
my
the.
yard.
I need to get me an on the air sign and hang it out on my front porch.
Are you serious though, Mikey? You actually have people in your building that pull the fire alarms? That's kind of
Yes,
sucks.
they do. It's
Kids.
really disturbing.
That's
They just
awful,
do it at
man.
the most. No, it's terrible. I mean, they do it at the most inopportune times.
Like
and-
like in the middle of the night or something, right?
Yeah. Like we've heard it go off at like 3 or 4 in the morning,
Oh, that's
just out
bad.
of nowhere. And my wife Suzanne and I, we just like,
I'd be very
oh, not
PO'd.
again. Yeah, well, no, we just say not again because they keep doing it.
Oh,
Nobody's protesting or saying anything.
that's bad. Like
It
I've
is.
been in my building like 8.5 years and nobody's ever pulled the fire alarms. Like no, we got, good tenants here, right? Like I got a lot of really nice neighbors and nobody's ever done that here. So
It's
Yeah,
usually
no, they
that's
kids.
do
bad.
It's usually kids. They'll do that kind of thing.
That's
Yes.
bad. Well, we got younger people in the building here too, but none of them do shit like that. So I don't know. Weird.
Well, maybe if they needed security cameras, then they'll stop doing it, right? And as soon as they find out that everybody can find out who did it.
We do have security cameras in the building and the parking lot, so maybe that makes a difference.
Well, we have a few too, but not in the most likely places that you would think there'd be a security camera. So
Oh, right, yeah.
yeah, hidden
Okay.
spaces.
Anyway,
ahead,
back to
Bob.
the episode.
So here's where Dr. Smith, they explained to him, now he has realized that he's grown bigger than, and he even says, like what you guys were saying, get out of all of you before I smash your little head. So he does, he has that thought, he doesn't actually do it.
Yeah.
No.
All right. Can we catch up on chat? Because we got a new person here.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
go
Gorilla.
for it, man. Yeah.
But I want
All
to start.
right.
I want to start where we left off because there's a lot of it.
Thank you.
Phantom says that's Gary Moore.
Yes, Gary Moore on I've Got a Secret. Yes, thank you.
Bryce says that ape mask looks suspiciously familiar. It looks a lot like Planet of the Apes mask, but that film came a few years later, I believe.
That's true.
And a different makeup artist, which we will cover. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Hungry says
That was John Chambers. That was John Chambers who did Planet of the Apes. Go ahead.
The force perspective was masterful here, says Hungry.
Yes, I
Yeah,
love this shot.
Hungry says, I love how Jill roots for the villain so often. You're big now, Smith. Squish him. Hello.
I love that.
Bryce says, please tell me that Coco the gorilla was not named after Coco the chimp. Maybe Penny Patterson, Coco's handler, was a fan.
That's very possible.
Yeah. Hungry says Smith is being portrayed like a selfish titan from Greek myth here, and I love it every time I see it.
Yes,
Not bad.
I agree.
Rowdy neighbors, ignore it, Pop. Erwin Allen swipes from the amazing Colossal Man from the 1950 sci-fi people.
Yes.
Yeah, and we will be covering that on our horror stream, The Amazing Colossal Man and War of the Colossal Beast.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And Hungry says leftover fireworks from the 5th.
Very possible.
Yeah, it's very possible.
Here is Jill's channel.
Yay!
Yeah. Hungry says, "Oh, I dated a chick from San
Leandro.
Leonardo. Great time
San-
back in
Oh,
2001.
come on.
Hope it
Right.
still is top."
It is Hungry Boy. It's still relatively a good, even though it's in the Bay Area, and despite the fact that it's in California, it's a nice location. And I'm glad I found it. It's nice and quiet. It's I'm in a rural, or not rural, but the neighborhood's really nice, mostly families with kids. So we don't have all the crazy stuff like in Oakland and San Francisco. So I feel really lucky for that. Thank you.
All right.
Good.
And welcome, Garu Lady. Subbed. Got told about the stream and had a buzz over.
Well, welcome, Guru Lady. It's so good to meet you. And I'm glad you're here, and I hope I pronounced that right, Guru. Well,
What the hell?
Yeah,
Guru lady.
welcome, Guru lady.
He's
Welcome
fishing
to the
off.
stream.
He's fishing him off. It says, Hungry says, hello, Guru Lady. Great to see you and a great username.
Hello,
I
girl.
hope you like the
Yeah.
Halloween
Yeah, I love
fun,
it.
Guru Lady.
Welcome to the stream.
Yes, welcome. It's always good to have a new family member here. If you like the stream, please consider checking out some other ones and hit the like button. That goes for all you guys. If you like the stream, hit the like button.
Yeah,
Maybe leave
and
comments after the video.
hit the sub button too if you like it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and-
hit the sub button.
All right. And
Thank
Stream
you.
Omelette says, thank you, Guru Lady. And Bryce says, I told Guru Lady about the stream, lol. So
Oh,
thanks.
thank you,
thanks,
Bryce.
And
Cool.
Jim
Thank
says,
you,
hell
thank
to
you.
Guru Lady.
Cover lady. Yep. Thank you, Bryce.
Okay. Yes, and thank you, Gorilla, for reading the chats. Gorilla is the master of reading the chats, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, Gorilla rules the chats for sure.
That's right.
And Hungry Boy had a good point about the Greek gods. They have tantrums too, and this is what he's going through right now.
Are you comparing
And-
Dr. Smith to a Greek god, Jill?
No, Hungry Boy was. And what
I just had to
really-
ask.
what reinforces that for me is when he sneezes and it causes the wind to gust, like how Greek gods also have an effect on the weather.
And
Well,
not
yeah.
true.
Well, Smith had big lungs at this point, though, right? So
Right, and I like the fact that he mentioned the word Titan because that's what they call themselves, the giants of the day.
the
Yeah.
Titans, yes.
And
Anyway, I think we're at the point now where I can finally mention one of the things that changed the series for me in this episode. Just be quick. This is the episode where Dr. Smith went from being a nefarious. Holy shit!
sorry,
Oh my
things are starting
god!
to kick up outside. Those are
Well, I
like
guess I
some big
won't even try
fireworks.
talking over this.
Here, I'm going to mute. Go ahead.
Anyway, I just want to quickly mention this is the episode for me where Dr. Smith's character finally changes from the sort of the nefarious, selfish, kind of dark, evil, evil overtones Dr. Smith that could be a danger to the family, and he finally turns into more of the buffoon. I mean, he's still self-serving and selfish and narcissistic and all that stuff, but he kind of goes from an evil, dangerous guy to basically a buffoon with
Yeah.
Peter Packer's script here. And I kind of regret it because I kind of liked when he had a little bit of an edge personally. But
Yep.
Me too. Yes,
Yeah.
I preferred it the way it was. But,
But I
I
guess-
guess we got to enjoy it the way it's given to us.
Yeah, I
Well,
think
the thing-
that.
yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I think that
Go
we
for it.
all agree. No, I'm just saying, I think that we all agree that this is probably the episode. In fact, it should be the episode where Dr. Smith had to make a kind of crossroads. He could either still be manipulative and condescending and evil, like you said. He could have done all that, but then he realized I better change my tune to some extent, and he had a crossroads, an epiphany.
I think
Um,
you're talking
right.
about Jonathan Harris, the wanting to change his character to just stay as a regular in the series, right?
Yes.
Nikki?
Well, the
Yes.
thing is, at the beginning of this episode, he was talking about taking the lives of the
Robinson's.
family.
Yeah, he
and
was
then,
still dark at the start, but then
Yeah,
he
he was.
totally changes into like a kind of a like almost a comedic figure by this point, right?
Well,
No,
let me
when
ask
when
you guys. Let me
but
ask you guys a question. The fact that this is the part where, of course, he waits for them to leave, but he breaks down crying, feeling sorry for himself. Do you guys think that was too much over the top?
Not
well,
really.
Well, I think it actually added a level of complexity to Smith that I don't mind because I think seeing him break down kind of does make it humanizes him, so to speak. So I didn't have a problem with that. I just have a problem with the way the writers started writing him more and more in episodes like a clown figure, so to speak, as just comedy relief, with not too much depth or too much substance. So
well, he talks about wanting to kill, but he doesn't really ever do it.
well,
He
of
doesn't
course.
really ever carry it out. So he's never really very serious about it.
And
No,
I
but
think right, and I think
he
also
was
his
darker early on, right? And
right,
then
but
he
I think another reason why his character changes is I think when it comes down to it's the right whatever writer is writing that particular episode, we
yeah,
can kind of see the mood shift and change depending on the writer.
yeah, true. I think overall though, there must have been a point. I think this was the start where the writers generally started to write Smith as a more sympathetic, humorous character, and they wrote a lot less darker stuff about him. Even though I'm sure he could still be dark in some episodes, because as I say, I haven't watched these in
Yeah.
20 years, so my memory's not great. But yeah, I thought this was a big shift in Smith's character this episode, personally.
A huge shift.
I,
Yeah, if you watch a lot of season one, you'll notice down the line that he starts to get less ruthless and a little more compassionate or
That
buffoonery.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Someone in the chat, I haven't watched these before. Someone in the chat made a very good point that helps me out here. They said that his vices are whatever the writers decide to inflict upon him in each episode.
That
And so
Yeah,
makes
that
sense.
does help a
Yes.
bit.
that's true.
That's true.
Anyway, please continue, Pop, because we kind of want to get through this one, don't we?
Oh, don't we?
So here's what
Yeah.
they're
Well, we're
surmising.
2.5 hours now, so
I know, and I apologize, everybody. And so here's what they're surmising that the growth may be the fruit may have the fruit may have affected the pituitary gland. So they asked Professor Robinson what that is, and he says that it's inside the base of the nose. Check out From Beyond, the movie. Anybody? Is it From Beyond, the Stuart Gordon movie? Anyway,
Yeah.
it's a sequel to Reanimator, where they have a whole movie based on that.
Yes.
I'm sure I'm getting that mixed up.
Well,
But anyway, go ahead.
no. That's a, go
The
ahead.
Beyond, From Beyond. Anyway, it's right.
Yeah.
And I feel bad because that's probably a Dario Argento movie. Hungry Boy is out there listening, so Hungry Boy can correct me on that.
Yes, he can.
So here's where they bring. Here's where they bring Maureen, which is good. They bring some humanity to the situation because they see that they do witness. The men see that Dr. Smith has broken down and crying. So here's Maureen is basically here to boost his hopes. So this is where he laments and says there's nowhere to sleep, and she says we'll build a bed and everything. So I thought this is a very good scene, and it shows her character once again, like we said. She bridges that gap between she adds that depth to the family, and she bridges the gap to where not everybody feels the same. So, and I think this is one of the reasons why she was hired for that role. I mean, this is almost exactly like her role in Lassie.
Well, yeah, she was a perfect intermediary, is how they described it. She was the one that had to stand in between the opinions of Dawn and her husband, and then the other side being Dr. Smith, her kids, and you know. So yeah, that's
Yeah, she
go ahead.
she
Jill.
uses psychology and his ego in order to convince him to listen to him, even though she's not quite telling him the truth.
No,
No, right. You're right
yeah,
about
yeah.
that.
you can't say that.
Well, as I mentioned before, I think Maureen, as the mother, basically, she even kind of mothers Dr. Smith because she's that kind of compassionate person, I think, in the series. So.
Well, we did say that she thought
I
he was like a lost child. We did
I
say
like
that.
this. I like this line here because it tells you that he knows that his pituitary gland is been messed with because that's what this word means.
Is that pronounced acromegaly?
That's one hell of a word, I gotta say.
Did I say it correct?
I wouldn't even try to
Acromegaly?
pronounce that one.
Oh,
No.
yeah, I think I did say it right.
But it means it may cause a gradual change. I don't know. It means overgrowth. It happens when
boy.
your pituitary gland makes too much growth hormone.
I am very impressed, Jill, that you actually told us about that one because I had no freaking idea.
Well, I had no idea either, but I have the world at my fingertips.
You looked it up.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah, and I watched it late last night before I went to bed, so I didn't look it up. So there you go.
That's what John Hopkins medicine says. So if you
Cool.
want to know the source.
Sounds good to me. I'll take your word for it, Jill.
Yeah.
I ain't going to be researching it anytime soon, so that's
Yeah,
No,
I was
but
gonna say,
that's what I
you
like
know-
about this show. It makes you want to learn more. So I do appreciate that, rather than
Well, that's the
talking
thing,
down the
yeah.
audience. Yes.
Well, I was going to say that this can also pertain to any of the taller actors that were in Hollywood, like Ted Cassidy, that played Lurch, or Andre the Giant that played Bigfoot. You know, things like that. They suffered from this
Oh.
kind of. They suffered from this kind of, pituitary growthism.
Could be,
You know?
yeah.
So it could be a sympathetic tribute to them, in some way.
Well, some
Well, now-
people.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jill.
Okay, go for yours.
I was just going to say, I'll make this quick. Some people affected more than others. For example, Ted Cassidy and them, yes, it made them taller, but they didn't suffer because of it. But if you look at the history of the tallest man in the world and the tallest woman, they suffered. They were in pain their entire lives. They ended up using canes to walk.
Yeah, Robert Walden. Yeah, well, yeah, the tallest one.
I mean, like, he was incredibly, incredibly tall, but people didn't realize he was in a lot of pain because a lot of times their bodies, organs, and heart don't all grow at the same rate. So they have like either their heart's too small for the body or the heart's too large for the body, or many other variations. So anyway, go ahead, Jill. Sorry.
Go ahead, Joe.
Well, now that you told me the movie magic, I know that they're doing the split screen again here with the tree.
Yeah, sorry.
So
I
has
wonder why-
Smith realized by now that he's much bigger?
Yes. Yeah. He's already.
Yes.
That's why he's been crying and feeling sorry for himself.
He thinks he's gonna have to work in the circus now when he gets back
Right.
to Earth.
Right. A circus. Well, I think if he makes it back to Earth, he would be very successful in a circus.
Dr. Smith, circus freak. Okay, that could have been a good spin-off series.
And here we have him once again sneezing and blowing Maureen down.
Yeah, but she convinces him that eating the fruit was a heroic act of medicine.
Right, self-sacrifice.
Self-sacrifice.
Really?
Like,
She actually
you know,
convinces him. Wow.
yeah, she convinces him that he did it for science, and
I think
everybody
Maureen should-
appreciates him.
When she got back to Earth, Maureen should have opened up a psychiatric clinic, and she could have really gone for it.
Maybe that was one of her expertises, and that's one of the reasons why she was chosen
yeah.
for this mission.
She should have become a psychoanalyst or something.
Well, if I was alone, believe me, if I was alone on a planet or up in space, I'd rather have her than Counselor Troy.
Oh, well, that's hands down. You don't even have to say it. I'd never want to be counseled by Troy. Like, yuck.
Right.
One thing's for sure: if they ever created an interstellar circus, Dr. Smith would be the first exhibit.
Well, and that's funny too. That we'll touch on an episode in the future that we will cover of Lost in Space about an interstellar.
Yes, I know about
circus.
that one. In color.
In color.
In color.
Well, in the cage covered the same thing almost with the Philosians. That's what kind of what they were keeping down there with everybody inside those cages. So
That's
it's been covered in science fiction before.
Yes.
And
Go ahead, Joe.
no, that was all. It will again. It will happen again.
So
It's a
when she
fun
tells
story.
him, right? So when she tells him that he was very brave for doing this, that does help, and it kind of brings about where he stops feeling sorry for himself. And that last shot where he's walking, which I thought was a little over exaggerated. Like I mentioned earlier, he starts to walk where he's like stomping slowly like a giant.
Yeah,
But
that's
it
kind of
adds-
funny.
It was, but it added to the effect. Because in movies, whenever they show giants, it looks more realistic when they move in slow motion than when they move fast. So, and we cut to later on that evening, they did construct a bed just like she promised, right outside for Dr. Smith. and there he is in it, and they have Debbie right by him on the rock.
Wow. I had forgotten that episode had like this huge bed in it. They reconstructed. That is wow.
And then we get the rain shower.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That was
after they all go in and leave Dr. Smith out there feeling sorry for himself, that's when they get a burst of rain and everyone's excited because this leads to the end of their drought.
That's
And
great.
Dr. Smith wakes up and realizes that he's small again, as he says, but as we all know, he's back to normal size. And I'm glad to see that he did have the thought of mind to grab Debbie and bring her in with him.
That's a good line.
Yes.
Dancing like savages. I gotta give Peter Parker credit for that line. That's an A plus line.
Obviously, the effect of simple H2O on my system. So all it took was some water, and for him immediately to shrink back, which of course is fantasy more than based
Yeah,
in
that's
science.
real fantasy. That means they
Oh.
can eat that fruit. They just have to drink enough water.
Yeah.
I do
And
love
it
the
won't
way
make them big.
I do love the way at the end of the episode water solves all their problems,
And,
which totally makes sense.
no, it doesn't. But
No,
I thought it did.
oh, I guess so.
Well-
If it is true, that means that they can be giants anytime they want, as long as they have a way to keep making these fruits.
No, but they were suffering without water, so when the water came, it made Smith back to his normal self, and they could take a drink, right?
well, like
And
Jill
Debbie
said, that
too.
means they could eat
And Debbie
the
too.
fruit as long as they have water nearby, I guess.
Yeah, and they could
Yeah, that's
they
it.
could like enjoy themselves
That's it.
again.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Well, I think a couple of government government agencies would love to get their hands on that fruit. I can think
I
of a
would
couple of them.
Well,
Oh yeah, probably so.
CIA, DERPA, Homeland.
DARPA, NSA. Yeah, for sure.
So now we cut to the next day, and Dr. Smith is leisurely enjoying
There
himself
we go.
taking a nap next to a rock. And here's where Judy comes up and says that they need help from Dr. Smith over on a drill site. And he says, "Work, but my dear, I am working." Of course he is, but it's living in a dream world, Dr. Smith, to ever think. And of course, he's still thinking that they're going to get rescued. And now they get an alert from the robot that is approaching an alien object.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
Yeah, there we go.
And it's time for next week's cliffhanger.
And it looks like that's a car headlight. It
Yeah,
even
does.
has the same pattern of a car headlight of the day.
Yeah, it does.
I really don't know.
Yeah.
So I guess it's implied that the robot said, "Warning, warning, warning."
Right. We get the robot warning, warning, as this alien device seems to be approaching Dr. Smith. And Dr. Smith is aware of it. He hears the noise, wakes up, and sees this probe or whatever it is approaching him.
Yeah,
I remember
the
now,
robot does
at
that
this
a lot.
point, I don't want to give it away, but we haven't established exactly what this is yet. So we don't know if this is an alien. We don't know if it's a probe. We don't know what it is yet at this point.
The robot does do a lot more of that as the series goes on, though. Warning, warning. It's like, danger, Will Robinson. That becomes a famous line.
I'm laughing at Hungry Boys chat, which I completely agree.
Uh-oh.
maybe
let's
it's
check-
Will's science experiment.
Well, here, that's a good
Maybe
point.
Gorilla could read them to us.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was just
Gorilla.
Thank
saying.
you, Gorilla.
Hungry says, "No, Hungry Boy was laughing my ass. I'm always in trouble." Send Eric Cartman after your neighbors.
That
Respect my authority.
Right.
That's good. That's good.
That is good.
Yeah. It's an honor of playing Werewolf the Apocalypse role-playing game
Oh.
for 14 years, and you said it right first time this year. Someone pronounced it spot on. Woo! Yay!
Yes. All right.
Yeah. I guess
I don't have to kick myself tonight. Yeah, that's a good thing.
I mean,
There we go.
I guess I'm good for something.
Oh,
Hungry says,
come on, you're better for
Guardian
other
Lady, LOL. I illustrated
lycanthropic
stuff
Lycanthropic.
for White Wolf.
stuff for White Wolf. Yeah.
Hey, Hunger, what did I say about using big words around me?
And Gorillas, I said to you, my friend and brother, I said, if you ever had a difficulty with a word, rely on me. I'm Spell Checker Freak Show, and I can pronounce pretty much any word.
There you go.
There you go.
Alrighty, Garu.
And I'll be right back.
Says, I still have all my score books for that game, like 35 plus books in the novels.
That's a lot.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hungry says the crying was not over the top because when you realize you might be effectively alone for the rest of your life, even a selfish
Histrionic
personality will be affected to the core.
Yeah.
Garu lady says, my dad started me out on the Sci-Fi Channel when it first aired. We got to the watch and countdown, and my dad had one of those massive metal dishes. I love watching old shows. Yeah, I'm liking these really a lot.
We all did Guru. Yeah.
Didn't watch the series, but I got to watch the original Dark Shadows. Never even heard of it.
Oh, Dark Shadows is fantastic.
Great.
All right.
I love Dark Shadows.
Maureen is the empath for the series, says Hungry.
I agree.
Hungry says, acromano, what?
It's acromegaly. It's acromegaly.
What
It's what
affected
affected
Rondo Hatton and Richie Kai.
Rondo Hatton and Richard Keel.
Famous monster kids all knew about it. Whatever. Thanks to Uncle
Acromegaly,
Forey.
thanks to Uncle Forey. Right.
You would have an enormous Schwarzenstucker.
Schwanstucker.
Hungry says, I believe that Maureen had at least a master's degree in psychology, which would have been mega useful during the deep space travel and people freaked out at unanticipated things.
Unanticipated.
Oh, I love Goofy Claw Crawler thing.
You did great, Gorilla. You did great. And I appreciate you allowing me to help you.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you helped because I would have been lost in some of those words.
Okay, I am back.
Well, yeah, especially Herc 130's comment.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, it's right. What's funny is we won't see it here, but we'll see it. Like I have a trailer for next week's episode. We'll see it in that trailer, and we'll also see it next week's episode of how close that device comes to Dr. Smith.
Okay.
And I thought it was hilarious, and it also kind of gives you because they show an extreme close up of Dr. Smith's face, and you can see what that device is made out of. And I thought it was poignant and cute for the time.
Well, let's take a look. Let's take a look, Bob.
I guess we could do that now. Let's see here.
Sure.
So here we have. Well, first, what we usually do is first we vote, and that's one of the last things we'll do. I will show a preview for next week, but if you haven't already, everybody in the chat, if you have not voted, please feel free to do so.
I voted.
Okay,
I voted before I came on tonight.
Thank you. I will be closing that poll, and I will share it with everybody so we can find out.
How many votes are in the poll there, Pop? I'm just curious.
I haven't looked. I'm doing that.
I think there was like 3 when I came on the stream earlier tonight. So
yeah, there weren't.
It looks like we have 11 votes.
Oh, that's good.
We have 11 votes. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll and then share it with everyone.
Sounds good.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, here, let me move this aside. I'll try to do this as quick as possible if I can.
Ooh.
Sorry, I've got roommates who cough, which has happened. That's part of life.
Don't hurt yourself, Pop.
Okay, here we go. So here's the result of our poll. What grade would you give the Oasis? And it looks like 63% gave it a B plus to a B minus. So that's terrific. 27% said A plus to A minus. 9% said C plus to C minus. And 0 said D plus to F minus. And that couldn't make me any happier. I'm very happy.
Okay, so I don't have to scream that don't blame that F on me.
Oh, you always give an F.
Well, if you notice my first chat I put in there, I said, well, I'm going to be a bit late today, but I wanted to give my automatic F that I put in, and in parentheses I put insert reason here.
Well, I always think of your automatic F. So
right,
yeah,
but if I may, if I may speak up, please. We're getting new people all the time, and we're getting new people all the time, and we're also having people I'm hoping watch this on the rerun who have never seen my channel.
Well,
so when you say automatic F, that confuses people, and they're going to think you don't like it. So please refrain from saying that on my streams if you can. I know we understand that it's a joke, but if we get new people to the channel or people watching my streams on a rerun who don't know me, they're not going to understand that.
I won't mention that ever again then.
That's why
I won't either.
that's why
No.
in my uh, when I do my disclaimer at the beginning, I said please save your review for the end, and if you don't like it, then please talk in the chat. It's just like I said, we all know each other. We know when each other's joking. But if somebody new comes on my channel and they're watching the stream for the first time, they don't know that. Is what I'm trying to say. So it's no offense to any of you guys. Does that make sense? I don't want to sound too harsh.
That makes total sense. Good point. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah.
No, that makes great sense, Pop.
Right, because people who don't know, they're going to come on and say, "Well, why is that person on there if they don't even like?" I'm just saying, if somebody comes on and has never seen this, they're going to say, "Well, why is that person on there if they don't even like it?"
No, that's
they don't know. They don't know us. You know.
Well, I'll refrain from making jokes about that in the future then.
And I will too, because I don't want anybody to misinterpret. We all love this show. We love our old shows.
That's why we're here.
That's why we're here. And if you the audience loves these old shows as much as we do, we want you to be here. We want you to offer your input and your opinions because they matter. They all count. Every matter counts. Every opinion counts.
Right. Yes. Whether you like it or not, your opinion counts, and it is very valid. And everybody's accepted here. If you like it or not, you're definitely accepted here. But final votes are if you can save them till the end. I mean, even at the end, if you say, "Well, I didn't like this episode," I give it F. I totally respect that and I honor that. It's just that at the beginning of the stream, it's going to confuse a lot of people. Is all. Mm. So, okay, now we're going to go around the board and let's highlight Mr. Master Chat here. Gorilla, tell us about your opinion of this episode and or stream. When I ask you guys for your opinion, it could be of the episode or it could be of the stream combined with the episode. That's totally up to you.
I thought it was a pretty good episode. I mean, I'm changing my vote from what I put in the poll there to I'm up into an A+ there. Mostly because of Don there when he's joking out. He wouldn't feel bad with Zachary Smith there. Because I'm one of those I think realistically there I was like, and what would I do in this situation? Well, it wouldn't get past the censors, and I understand 60 censors and all that. Doesn't mean I don't wish something would happen.
I know, right? And I thought that often when I was a kid too. I thought about that too.
Yeah, see, when I look at this, it's not that I don't understand that there'd be violence because of the censors and all that. It's just I know what I would do in this situation. It's not what they would do, and that's how I look at movies and stuff.
Okay, so if anybody disappeared, we come looking for Gorilla, right?
Uh-oh.
Hey, Gorillas,
just
I
kidding,
think you
just
should take
kidding,
a drink
just kidding,
for that. Gorillas, I think you should take a drink for that, just for that point alone.
But I was just kidding.
Remember, for $200, I can have an alibi and about 5 witnesses. So,
yeah, I'd say go for another shot, Gorilla.
Yeah, go for another shot, Gorilla. Go ahead.
CBB,
just so I don't waste.
What say you?
Well, I'm probably the outsider on this one because I noticed there was only 9% that was in the C range, and that's what I gave it. I gave it a C.
So that's fair enough.
Well, the thing is, I thought we're at episode 9. I thought the previous 8 were all stronger than this one. Even the one with the space cowboy that Peter Packer wrote, I thought that was a much stronger episode. I mean, when I watch this, I'm basically thinking, okay, the whole basic plot line is, we get, a water shortage. So that's the sort of setup excuse that Peter Packer provides us for Smith to go out and eat some bad mangoes and, turn into a giant and turn into like an kind of interesting, slightly, nefarious villain into kind of a buffoon, which kind of, saddens me because he does turn into that more and more as the series progresses. And I kind of like the sort of little lightly evil Smith opposed to this version. And basically, I didn't think a hell of a lot happened in this episode. It's like basically, Smith eats some bad fruit. He he goes gigantic. He wimps and whines, and for me, that's pretty much the episode. There's not a hell of a lot going on here, and as I mentioned before, I'm not a huge fan of Peter Parker, though he wrote like 25 episodes, and I can honestly say,
Peter Parker is Spider-Man. That's okay.
okay, Peter Packer, I'm sorry, but you know who I mean.
I'm sure he got. I'm sure he got that a lot.
I'm
Probably.
getting tired. I need to go cook some supper and sleep.
It's
But
okay.
seriously, he wrote like 25 episodes of this series, and I'd say there's maybe five I think he wrote that I think are actually excellent and really, really good. So I'm not trashing him. I don't think he's like the worst writer in history. He can write really good stuff at times, but I'd say overall the episodes that Peter wrote for me are kind of pedestrian and they're not particularly interesting. So yeah, I just thought this one was it was okay. Let's put it this way. There's much worse episodes later to come that I would probably give a D or an F or whatever to, but I thought it's a decent episode, but I just didn't find anything in it that really, captured my imagination in any way, and it seemed like pretty straightforward and basic. So, yeah, I'll give it a C.
Okay, and if I can add a quick disclaimer when he says that worse episodes in the future, please don't let that discourage you guys from tuning into our stream.
Oh no, no.
Because regardless of how the episodes turn out, we will always make it fun.
Sometimes it's like Spock's brain. Sometimes worse episodes can be a lot of fun. So don't get me wrong.
And thank you for your review, PvP.
I just found Peter to be inconsistent as a writer. That's all.
And would say I'm not going to argue that. Remember, he wrote the Great Vegetable Rebellion, so that says.
But I love that episode. That's one of my favorites.
Well, there you go. There you have a contrast right there, Mikey. What's your opinion and grade of this episode?
Okay, well, first of all, again,
By the way, I don't know why my frames are in this particular order. I feel bad because Jill should not be last; she should be second.
Hey, no, it doesn't matter.
Co-host. Yeah, I need to learn how to move them around a little better. So I don't mean anything.
I actually don't mind it being randomized.
Well, we're going to save the best for last because I know Jill's going to give a great review. So I'm just going to try to be as brief as possible. First of all, again, I want to say I was sorry for being late to the chat, but I guess I was right on time considering everything.
Oh, no apologies necessary. No.
Yeah. You know what? I gave this episode an A minus. I'll admit that. And I think it was mainly for I'll just go into basics. Three main reasons. First of all, if you look at Dr. Smith, we all knew, like the previous episodes, he was devious, he was ruthless, sometimes manipulative, as I said. He did have an agenda, but then I felt like, when he turned big and then he started crying and thinking about him, he was starting to maybe think more about the family rather than just himself. And I thought in that case, he did approach a form of humility. And I think that's what really sold it for me was like, Dr. Smith can't be a bad person all the time, but he can actually be compassionate and be humble. And I thought that was cool. The second thing I also found out was that, we all said Maureen became basically an intermediary. She was the one that could use psychology between two opposing forces and allow the two of them to make compromises and be able to keep the family together. Like, having Will attend more to Dr. Smith as a learning tool and as a friend. So that's what that meant to me. And of course, the situation, when you think about how badly states in the United States are right now that are suffering from water shortages. And you're thinking about what they went through on the planet in order for them to finally be able to have some working water and be able to survive. And you think about nowadays how it is with other states and their terrible water shortages and policies that are in place. It boggles the mind. But that's why I thought it was significant enough. And so I gave it an A minus. Yeah, I agreed with it.
Very cool. Thank you, Mikey.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay, and here we go with our common sense review. Jill, tell us what you think.
So The last two reviews were really good. Great to hear. I do agree a bit with PvP because we don't exactly get any kind of morals or meanings exactly, but we get more character growth, and that's something that I realized during this review. I did appreciate that it was a survival story. So they're stranded on the planet, and then there's a heat wave that has to do with the weather due to the orbit of the planet, as we previously established. However, nothing in this episode actually solves the technological issue of generating more water. If this kind of drought happens again, with only one of those power cells left, and another drought could happen, and Dawn says that they're not capable of fixing them. So I would have liked having a part of the story where they figure out how to make more of these power cells so that they have the ability to draw more water from the atmosphere to be able to survive a longer drought for the next time this kind of thing occurs.
A good point.
And also make sure never to dehydrate Dr. Smith because that turns him into a giant toddler.
Oh, Jill, you got to see Great Vegetable Rebellion when Dr. Smith gets very dehydrated.
Oh,
Very.
dear.
It's a masterpiece of weirdness.
Well, no matter what, the actor who plays Dr. Smith does an incredible performance, even if his performance is to be ridiculous.
Oh yes.
One episode, Dr. Smith is quoting Shakespeare, fixing a fully assembled robot in just hours, and in another, he's kind of blathering full. And so,
Smith is kind of inconsistent, yes.
so I
I
suppose
was.
season
Yeah.
one is
Go ahead.
season one. I'm guessing that season one they're struggling with how to present this character, being given one direction by Irwin and another by the network. And it really kind of shows here where they're struggling with them. Where again, a Packer episode would work better if the show if the show were animated sometimes.
Oh, that's a good point.
That's
The
good.
um
What was
so
your grade? What was your grade? Then,
my
Jill?
grade for this is C plus, and I do
Okay.
believe also that the other characters were a little overly compassionate, which I'm also attributing to the dehydration, except of course for Dawn. they
I'm so
they
relieved
show
I'm not the
him
only person that put this in the C range.
how
Thank you,
he.
Jill.
Yeah.
You're welcome. They show him he's wrong and that they're all against him. They're not all against him, rather. And I suppose that's a nice gesture. And that's how it gets the plus and the C plus is that, like how you said, what Marine did to communicate. It kind of reminded me of how Kirk talks down a computer, but just using psychology instead of logic.
Yeah, which can't be wrong. You're right, Jill, on that. No, that can't be wrong. Yeah.
Mm.
I guess my A minus is probably a little too much, but I really enjoyed it because, like I said, I like the fact that there is someone in the family who can, besides Will, of course, who can talk to Doctor Smith and say to him, "Look, you don't need to do this or that. You know, be yourself. Just don't uh, piss off too many people. In the case of like Don or the professor, don't make them mad. Try to get along with the robot. Try to
Your
teach
A
Will a
minus
few
is
things."
not too much. It's
Okay, thank you.
just fine. That's
I
how you
just
feel about the
yeah,
episode, and that is fully acceptable. And I
Right. The
especially
whole
like
the
how
whole
you
point
talk
is the fact
about.
that everybody.
yes.
Right. The whole point that
I
makes this so great is everyone's perspective. So I love that.
right, exactly. And I
Yeah.
appreciated how you tied it back into the real world, connecting it to real life water issues that I hadn't even considered. So
Yeah,
that
I
was
just
really
want to
cool.
I just want to say, Mikey, that's cool. I mean, if you got A minus or whatever, that's fine. Like that's why I love coming on with you guys because we can all have our different opinions and disagree, give different ratings, and we all have fun together. So there's nothing wrong with, I just never worry about what rating I'm going to give because I just give the rating that I, feel, myself is what the episode deserves. So I think it's all good, man.
Yeah, this is definitely a family to me. As I told my wife Suzanne, I said, I love these guys because
Oh, thank you,
I
man.
feel because I feel like no, seriously, because I feel like I can put in an intelligent 2 cents worth and say to myself, hey, I've got likable people, alike people who can give the same kind of output and input, and it's all in perspective, and we all enjoy each other's company. So
Yep,
it's a great thing.
Yeah,
it
exactly.
is.
Exactly.
Right. And it took the internet to bring us together because we're not going to find people like this, like just living down your street.
No.
So people like us are
No,
very rare and hard to find.
no, I don't.
And
I
I know
don't know. I don't know too many geeky people that love Lost in Space down my street.
that's what I'm saying. So, as bad as the internet is and as a curse that it is upon our younger generation, I like the fact that it's there to bring us together, us geeks together, because we all seem to congregate in these places and we find each other. So it's like to me, it's like a family that I never had. So
For sure.
I love you
And,
guys just as well. I have the same feeling.
and I just wanted to add one more point. We all agreed that tomorrow, when Jill does I'm definitely going to be there, when she does the Wolf in the Fold episode from TOS, and you hear the Rajak, we all agreed that's our favorite part. When he goes Rajak, 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 the computer just goes nuts.
Red
The Enterprise
Jack,
computer.
not Rad Jack. Red Jack.
Red
Red
Jack,
Jack.
That
Red
is a
Jack.
great part. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you
I
especially
got
with
wish
the
I could
fact
be
that
there, but I can never join because I'm
right.
always working then. But oh well.
Well, you can catch it on the rerun, right?
yeah.
Well, if I
And
have time, usually when I get home at 7 o'clock, I'm too tired to do much of anything except cook supper and go to sleep. Right. So.
well, that's okay. But one thing I do need to point out, and I'll point it out. No, I hope not to spoil too much. And I'm sure we'll talk about this tomorrow during Jill's stream. But how often do you get to see Winnie the Pooh playing Jack the Ripper? Huh?
Wait, a piglet.
Oh, that was
Piglet.
No,
good.
Thank
that's
you.
Piglet.
Thank you, Jill.
That's
Piglet. That's
Piglet
it.
voice.
Piglet.
I
Piglet's
gotta
That's
voice.
right.
admit that was
That's
fun.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. Sterling Holloway was Winnie the Pooh. That's right. And right,
That's right.
Piglet.
Yeah,
Fiedler.
he's so great in that
John
episode too.
Fiedler. Yeah, John Fiedler. That's the guy.
He's so good in
Yes.
that episode. He's so creepy. It's
You're welcome.
great.
Yeah, it is wonderful. No, my first watch through of Star Trek, that hit me pretty hard because I'd never watched Star Trek before, obviously, but I'd watched a lot of Winnie the Pooh. at that point.
Oh shit.
Oh, so you
Winnie
recognize the
Pooh
voice
drama.
immediately, right, Jill? 'Cause that voice is very distinguishable, so you noticed immediately, right?
It did.
Well,
Yeah.
he's got such a gentle voice, and he's playing such an evil character in that episode, right? So.
Yeah, I don't want to give
It's
too much
true.
away, but when he's in the that ready room and he goes, "You're gonna die! Oh, die, die, die!"
Oh, that's really good. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you,
He's
Yeah.
a really good actor. He was a really good actor.
John.
Yeah.
Yes,
He was. He also did some Disney movies back in the days, and so he had
Of
he had a
course.
range.
Cool.
And okay, if I may, um,
So
I'd like to
we're
give this episode.
basically
I'm gonna.
done, I guess, aren't we?
Well, I'm gonna give it a B if I can.
Okay.
I enjoyed the episode.
Nice.
I know like I mentioned earlier that the characters change depending on who the writer is. But I like the fact that this is the first episode where we get to see, we know how villainous, I mean, when you think of Dr. Smith in the first episode, the first 2 or 3 episodes, how villainous and dastardly he could be. This is the first episode where we see him broken down, humbled, and crying, which kind of opens our heart. Marine's kind of in fact, I saw Hungry Boy kind of mentioning it. She's kind of the empath of the episode. So she brings reason and balance to the family so that not everybody's angry at the same time. Not everybody has the same emotions. And I know a lot of my thoughts though are because I love the actor so much. So I need to be better at separating the actor from the character because Dr. Smith was a jerk, but Jonathan Harris was a fantastic, loving, funny man.
Yeah.
And I appreciate what he did to the character, what he brought to it. And I know it's kind of hokey. I think PBV brought up that you're right. Not a lot happens in this episode. It's pretty much Dr. Smith grows big, Dr. Smith grows small. They don't have a lot. I do agree with that.
That's
So
why I gave it a C. It was just like there was like no sci-fi, basically, right?
It was a lot of
Very little.
fantasy. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a lot of
especially a
fantasy.
fantasy episode, and I thought it was decent, but it just didn't grab me when I watched it last night. So that's why I gave it a C.
But that's
All
why
right.
I enjoyed giving it an A- because June Lockhart, we all know she's one of the best moms that have been in sitcom and Lost in Space. We consider her a great mom, and she was able to take care of the situation. She didn't have to get in between. She could have just let them carry on and do what they want to do. But she realized that we are all in this together. So she had to make sure that Dr. Smith would feel a little bit humbled by his experience, but maybe later on he might start helping more. Maybe he'll start being more attentive to the family. So
Yep,
that's
very
how
That's
I
a good
did it.
point because that means that Peter Packer did open up the floor for challenging other writers maybe to write more for the other characters.
Yeah, I can't argue with Mikey's points. Like they're good points. It's just I guess watching it I just didn't get that. I mean Maureen was great, but for me the basic I usually judge a storyline on how good the story
right.
is, like how engaging the story is, in spite of what the characters do. And I just found this story lacking somehow, for me personally. So that's why I gave it a C. But yeah, I can totally get Mikey's points that he's making. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I
Can we catch
agree.
up on chat real quick?
Please, yeah, Gorilla. I know
Yeah,
you've been
please.
trying to intervene and tell us. So thank you, really. Thank you for your patience.
Yeah. So, nope, we're past that. Sorry, I gotta scroll. All right, here it is.
We're on.
Because
Yeah,
that line is from Young Frankenstein.
he must have an enormous Vouchstugger. Yes, which was an earlier comment he made.
Yeah. I'm a Scrabble biatch. Yeah, pleasant. No apologies. I voted when I came in, says Hungry.
Thank you, hungry
Oh,
boy.
sorry, we missed this one. Night, Jim.
Oh, Jim, good
night,
night. So
Jim.
sorry about that. He said he was
Hungry
driving
says,
earlier.
Good
says
night, Jim.
Nighto. Hungry says, hey, but Matango is an automatic A. Kidding. Rod Carter says, hello, all. Can't say much driving.
Oh, that's right. Sean was driving. Drive safe, Sean.
Yeah, please drive safe
Keep
home.
right. Keep your eye on the road and your hands on the wheel.
Hungry says, hola, Sean. No
Hola, hola.
vegetable rebellion, aka bring the juicer forth.
Right.
All right, Bryce says, I lived in South Arizona. I don't know. I know a bit about water shortages, even though they haven't affected me personally yet. Makes no sense that even though water is running out, Phoenix and LA are growing rapidly. And
Well,
That's
here
a
in
great point,
California,
Bryce.
right? It is here in California. At least it's like I think it's 75% or more of the water is all LA.
yeah,
So that's where a lot of our waste and our water goes is that one area. So it's really sad. Anybody's ever been here? We have these mountains called the Grapevine, and you have to cross or traverse over them in order to get to LA. But when you're driving south towards LA, when you approach the mountains, on either and both sides are these huge, massive water pipes that are just constantly feeding all this water from the entire rest of the state down to LA, so that all those rich people can have their fountains and their swimming pools and movie stars and all that, right?
Yeah, that's
yeah,
that's the grapevine I've driven, and that's the Tehachapi Peak, right? That's that whole thing up there.
yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Grapevine, yes.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I've driven that, so that's crazy. My dad drove that up there in a snowstorm, if you can believe it.
Yeah, they should make
Oh
all that
yeah,
swimming
many
pool
times.
stuff illegal, basically. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
And
what? How about acres and acres of green grass that they're just watering? We've heard about the
oh God,
celebrities
that
who are
bugs
spilling water.
that bugs the hell out of me. Hey, get this. I remember like a week ago we were having like a torrential downpour here, right? I walk out to my car to go to work in the morning. It's a torrential downpour, and they got the sprinkler system watering the
Oh
grass.
yes,
I've
yep.
seen that
It's
Timers.
like
too.
it's
Yeah.
like what the hell are they thinking?
automatic timers, they just never turn off for that. It's automatic.
Yeah, I
Right.
guess, but
Right. The same with schools
yeah.
and government buildings. And I want to add this since we're talking about this. And I hope he doesn't mind if you're still there, mad scientist. But I have a story to share. Mad scientist, like me, lives in California and has driven from LA and back many times. And one time he got stuck on the Grapevine, those mountains in the snow. And they were he was in flip flops. The crazy guy, even when it's cold, he wears flip flops and shorts. But a passerby, somebody else that was stuck not far from him, saw that him and his person sitting in their car were cold. So they invited them into their big old truck to keep them warm, and that was
Yeah.
Dog the Bounty Hunter and his wife.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
That's
Right.
nice.
That is so cool.
They
That's
saw
very cool.
mad scientist sitting in a little car with his friend,
That's
and they saw
awesome.
that they were cold, and it was Dog the Bounty Hunter, his wife, like in a big 4-wheel drive. I can't remember what it was.
That's cool.
So they
Yeah,
sat there
that's
together
awesome.
till the roads were cleared, and they went and had some coffee together before they went their separate
That's
ways.
awesome, man. I used to
Yeah.
watch Dog the Bounty Hunter show all the time. I love that show.
Yeah, I hope,
Dog-
Mad Scientist, you're okay with me sharing that
Dog
story.
was so cool.
Yeah.
His
Hey.
wife passed away though a few years ago, did she not? Sadly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And once again, I know you guys are sick of me here saying this, but cigarettes.
Yeah,
Okay, go
but
ahead.
Yeah.
I love that show. I used to watch that religiously. It
All
was
right.
such a fun show.
Go ahead,
All right,
Gorillas.
Gorilla.
Finish. Go ahead, Gorillas.
And
Finish the
thank you,
chat.
Bryce, for the for subscribing there. There will
Absolutely.
be. And Sean says, it says real Jack. They say, oh, here.
Here. Rejack. Yeah.
Yeah, Bryce Mitchell, but Kelly is depopulating overall. Yeah, they lost a house seat.
Right. People are the smart ones, and those that are able to are leaving.
Yeah.
Hungry says, laughing my ass off, Jill. I was a winning kid before Star Trek 2. It slaughtered me. Sean Carter, they are all moving to Phoenix. There are new density apartments going up everywhere. But 2002 was the first year Arizona's water allotment was reduced. Phoenix actually stopped sending water.
They did.
Interesting.
To a nearby community this year. Pops, please consider adding links to your channel contributors on your page in the community or channel selection section. Wherever, still look for PvP in Mikey's channel.
Oh, you know what, Bryce?
I'll get them.
Right. Let me address that, Bryce. I know what you're talking about. I'm still new at setting up my community and the other tabs, but if I remember right, what Bryce is talking about, there's an area where I can add all you guys, all my friends and people that come on the chat and on the panel inside my YouTube channel, so that when you guys are looking at my profile, it shows your names.
That'd be cool.
I will do that, Bryce. Thank you. In fact, that's kind of a kick in the butt for me. I will do that this week. I'll figure out how to do that.
I'm glad Bryce
But it
brought
wasn't
that up. I
right.
never
Right.
realized.
Yeah.
Me,
And
Bryce,
Bryce,
me not doing that was not intentional. It's just I hadn't figured out how to do that yet, but I will. Thank you, Bryce.
sure. And I
Hey,
just wanted to add
don't
to
worry,
Bryce.
man.
Yeah, I just want to add to Bryce. Hey, Bryce, when you go to Gorilla's channel, look up the channels that he's already subscribed to, and mine will be there. And all you have to do is click on it, and you'll be subscribed.
Actually, I imagine Pop sub to my channel some time ago too. Actually,
Absolutely.
I know he did to mine.
I can guarantee you that everybody, and if I'm wrong about this, let me know. But I think I'm sub to everybody who comes on my panel or in the chat. Anytime people come on, I usually go to their channels and sub.
Yeah, just go to the page where all of us are featured, and I'm sure you can find me.
But it makes it. But it's. I want to point out that's an excellent point, and thank you for reminding me because it's right. And I want to make it easy to find. So when you go to look at my channel, and as soon as it pops up, my profile, my page, I want to show all you as contributors. So thank you, Bryce. Great idea.
Yeah, he said,
Yeah, very good.
subscribe
Very
to
good.
all of the rest of you folks. Thank you. Sincerely, the Peanut Gallery.
Alrighty.
Gotta love the peanut gallery.
Oh, yes. I love you guys.
Yeah, you guys are all awesome.
Yeah, totally awesome.
Okay, how are we doing on the chats, Gorilla?
We're doing good. So
Okay, time to catch up.
Since I already got,
we're all cut up. We're all cut up on the chats.
Yeah, we're all set up. And since we already got this poured,
Oh crap! Here we go.
Oh, yay!
Yay!
Oh, you
I
should have
missed
saved
that.
it, Gorilla, because I was just gonna say, tell us about your channel, and you could have. Maybe you should take another shot just to prove that you're not kidding around.
oh, that means I have to pour it all out and stuff. And
Now when you're putting it in, you don't have to pour it out when it's in your stomach.
no, pour it. I still have to pour it and all that.
Okay, well, tell us about your channel, Gorilla.
And
Why
this
you
is
doing that?
expensive stuff here, so
Oh,
Okay.
I'm giving you guys the expensive, high quality stuff here. The
That's
one
great.
bottle alone's $30 and the other one's $20.
That's
Well,
Well,
great.
we appreciate you sharing it with us.
Yeah.
yes, definitely.
So anyhow, I've been doing shorts and all that. I got some work to do here because Jill passed me, and that's unacceptable. So I got some work to do here to get some more subs. I'm kidding,
Jill's
Jill. I'm
just
kidding.
burning up
Good
those
job on
subs
your
lately.
400.
Yeah,
Good job
not
on your 400
surprised.
there, Jill. But
Yeah, I'm not surprised. She
Thank
has a lot of
you.
excellent
Thank
content
you.
on her channel.
I'm glad I could be an inspiration.
Well,
Yeah,
Jill's
yeah.
fun, so
I'm
how
like,
can you say no,
yeah,
right?
compared to her, I'm lost in the dust. So it's like,
so
okay.
I'm gonna try
Well,
to do more.
compared to her, I don't even exist. So
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get some more shorts out because I know people have been enjoying those. But we are starting our new series on Wednesday. There, we are watching five Days to Midnight. I gotta still make the thumbnail for that, but that's 5 episode. There, guy finds out he's gonna be murdered in 5 days. He has to try to solve it. So we're gonna be watching all 5 episodes of that series. There's no Walton's review on Friday because my kid decided to have a damn birthday that day. So
Oh, yeah. Shame, right?
isn't that
Bad boy
inconvenient when those damn
dad.
kids decide to get birth that day?
yeah. And the part that's sad is the kid's starting to be able to fit into my clothes. I'm getting kind of depressed here.
They're getting older.
Well, that's when they're called
no.
hand-me-downs, so that's totally fine.
Yeah, hand me
that's
down
so
time.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Everything's
Yeah.
except for the underwear.
Yeah, but I gotta start checking. Well, I'll have to start checking to make sure what shirts he's wearing because quite a few of my shirts, he'll end up in the principal's office for those ones.
I think I know what you mean.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, but and there's no Babylon 5 there because my nephews decided to get born all in the same damn week too. So
Uh,
Yeah, and all this birthing stuff going on. Jeez.
yeah, what
Yeah,
can
but-
I say? September was cold.
there you go.
Yeah, that's usually the way it works, eh?
No, but so I got a big birthday party there, and there's gonna be what was it? Give me 6, 7 screaming kids. So I'm gonna need a driver that day. Just put it that way. Hey, my kid's getting old enough. Maybe he can drive me home.
Well, whatever you cook, make sure you make some shorts around it so we can see. And I
Yeah,
like that. Was it T-bone steak short you made today, or whatever that was? That looked delicious.
yeah, I got it on sale for like $6.
Oh yeah, that looked great.
Oh, it was delicious. And then, but Sunday we are watching The Goonies. Hey, you guys! So Sunday we are watching Goonies on Cosme there with the live react on YouTube there.
I tried.
Yeah,
I just can't get Cosme to play right on my computer. It's like a slideshow and the audio is off. I don't know if it's my connection or where I'm at or what. Probably my laptop.
on my phone.
Well,
Of course, you can do
PvP.
it on your phone. I can't even do it on my computer.
Well, PvP. You and I are both in Canada, right? You said so.
I'm in BC. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm in, like I said, Ontario.
You're in Ontario, right?
Yeah. So my Cosme tends to go out every once in a while, but I try to make sure I let Gorilla know that because I'm in Canada, the connections are the thing, the problem.
Usually I
He
find Cosme
understands.
works okay here.
Well,
Yeah.
And I'm glad he's doing Goonies because, I hate to admit it, I'm embarrassed, but I've never actually seen that film.
Ooh,
come join
And
us.
I know, I will get on my knees and supplicate embarrassment. And it's like, I'm not worthy, the old thing.
PV, come join us on Sunday. Come join
But
us
I
on
will
Sunday.
try. Since Gorilla has mentioned it, are you going to put a link in the streaming thing on Twitter there, Gorilla?
Yeah, I'll make sure to put a link out for that one there.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I definitely recommend that.
I think I probably have like an 80% chance of joining that day if you put a link in. So that'd be cool because I've always wanted to see it, but it'd be even more fun to watch it with you guys. So that would be
Definitely,
great.
yes.
Yeah. Hey, Gorillas, please promise not to have me sing the Cyndi Lauper song from the movie. Okay?
I like Cyndi Lauper though.
Which song is that?
The Goonies.
Goonies
theme.
are good enough.
The Goonies are good enough.
Oh, she did that song.
She did that one, Cyndi Lauper. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard that song either. Jesus.
Gorillas heard me sing earlier, and he was like to something, and
Well,
I
gotta-
remember
like,
girls want to have fun and all that stuff.
you got to be careful. You don't want the copyright strikes. You got to be careful what you
Oh,
sing.
shit.
no, we have
even
to
if-
be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cindy Lauper does not exist.
She
Hey,
does
tell you
not
what,
exist.
if I'm at 420 by Sunday, I won't sing it for you.
Okay.
Sounds good. Sounds
Yeah.
good.
There you go.
I'm gonna try to do more gaming streams here. So
Cool.
All right,
Go ahead,
PvP, tell us
PvP.
what say you about your channel, and when are you going to finally start streaming?
Oh God.
Yeah,
Well-
I bet you were just hoping I wouldn't say that, huh?
Well, I gotta tell you, I didn't get enough sleep last night. I felt like a kind of walking dead today at work, but I got through the 9-hour shift somehow. It actually floated by pretty fast, thank goodness. But I got 80% 4 days of the week ahead of me until I get out of there on Friday. So it's like, oh, so tiring. And luckily, I think in Canada, next Monday is a Victoria Day holiday. I believe it's a stat. So I might have a 3-day weekend next week, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe next weekend, if you want to give me a little bit of a help there, Ron or Pop, and that would be great because I'm thinking maybe next Saturday, Sunday kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah, I'll shoot for it. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not.
Well,
Don't quote me. I'm not 100% sure, but
no,
I
but
think
yeah,
there's
but message me on Twitter and let me know
I
how it
will.
works out.
Yeah, definitely will,
we'll,
man.
we'll
I
plan
think
on
there's
it.
like at least a 50-50 chance because, having like, I'll tell you, my first 40-hour week last week, a 2-day weekend flew by so fast. I hardly had time to blink, right? So with a 3-day weekend, I think I can probably manage to do at least a short live stream. So that would be cool.
yeah, and welcome Canadian Spider-Man.
Right.
He says,
Hail,
"Hey,
Spidey, good to see you.
He
Hey,
says,
Spidey, wow, you're late to the party there, man.
Yeah, Spidey, and I'm sorry I missed your last fireside chat. I apologize for that.
Oh, and he says it is a stat in BC. Yeah, I figured it was.
Yeah, and Spidey just celebrated his birthday not too long ago. I think it was about a week or so ago. So yeah,
Okay,
thank you, Spidey.
Now,
He's also
Pop-
posting some. He's also posting some great videos of from his time in Mexico.
Oh,
Speaking
hello,
of work-
Canadian Spider-Man.
Now, Pop, let's go ahead and defer to Miss Jill, and then I'll finish us out.
Okay,
Go ahead, Jill.
there you go, Jill.
Okay.
Tell us about your wonderful, fantastic.
Hey, Jillian.
Right.
Well, I have a fun science fiction channel. Obviously, you know what I do on Mondays, but on Tuesdays, I review Star Trek The Original Series at noon Central. This week, we'll be reviewing The Wolf in the Fold, and yes, featuring Piglet. And on Friday, I will have a shore leave in general to celebrate 400 subscribers. But also, I've been working on editing a small tribute to Son of a Red Shirt because I had
Aw.
edited my very first Friday show, Pomic Tea Time, in which he was my first guest. But yeah, so it was really amazing on that. So I'll save it for that, and
Cool.
I will share some of it.
Yeah, rest in peace, Son of a Richard. He was a wonderful
So,
man. I
Son
miss
of a
him
Red Shirt
dearly.
is the one that passed away then?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Hey,
I miss him
Wow.
dearly. Yeah, I used to talk to him a lot on Jedi Bill's channel.
I remember chatting with him in the chat so many times, like over the last year or so, and he was always fun, and we always had little nice chats. And when I heard like he'd passed away, I was like, "Oh shit, that's really bad."
Hey, Jill. What time is
Yes.
the short leave on Friday then? What time?
That's going to be noon Central. Maybe I'll start it early. I might start it. I might start 2 hours earlier. I haven't decided.
Yeah,
Well,
I
I'll be
always-
working, Jill, but I
always
will be
work.
there. Yeah, I'll be working, but I will be there listening, Jill. I'm usually driving and listening, but I will
Unfortunately,
say hello in the chat.
Hey,
I would
Jill.
work if I could, Jill, but I can't because they monitor our phone calls and log how many minutes we do between them. So I am a slave to the machine.
Wait. Are you saying that you don't tell them? Damn you! I'm listening to Jill. Don't you understand?
Oh shit! If I said that, well,
Do
my
me a
boss is
favor.
awesome, but
Just
she
kidding.
would not be happy.
Hey,
I
Jill,
know. I'm just
I
kidding.
understand.
We're
Jill,
supposed to get
I
so many
will be
calls
there.
a day done, so yeah, that's just the The feature of the beast, right?
Jill,
Hey,
I will
Jill?
be there for you tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern, right? So for TOS, I'll be there for you,
Hey,
and for shore leave on Friday. So
hey, Jill. If you
Yes?
if you're gonna start way earlier than you normally do, can you
Yes,
please
Grandma.
make the thumbnail way ahead of time so I can adjust my listening schedule?
I will. Yes.
One thing I
For this
really
week, I will. Anyway, I won't make any promises for future shows, but this Friday, I will.
one
Okay,
thing I really enjoyed about Jill is I never, ever know when she's going to be on anything.
yeah,
That kind of makes it fun because it's like a guessing game every week, right?
yeah, Jill, because
Sorry, Jill, but I just had to mention it because you know what I'm saying, right?
yeah,
Also, I want to thank Bryce for subscribing today. Thank you.
for Chet, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Thank you
nice
so
to see a
much.
new member on our stream here. That was awesome.
Yeah, that's
Very
totally
cool.
cool.
And right. And thank you for the trusty ape for referring Bryce to us. I think
Yeah.
we met like two or three new people tonight, and Guru Lady as well from Trusty Ape. So thank you.
Guru Lady, yeah.
Well, it's good that the Lost in Space streams are growing and people in the chat. That's awesome.
Yeah, I really appreciate that.
Oh,
Okay.
can I just mention one thing before we're probably going to sign off shortly?
Well, I'm going to let
Um,
Mikey plug his channel.
Go for it.
Okay. All right. Well, it's very simple. I went ahead and changed the starting time on this coming Wednesday for the All Things Indiana Jones. I'm basically calling it that.
Okay.
It's going to start at 8 p.m. Eastern, which is 7 Central on Wednesday night, this coming May 17th. So I hope you guys can all make it if you get off work or whatever and want to come listen. You'll get to see my face because I love to show myself in my atmosphere, in my element, as it were, and discuss all things. And like I said, we're going to be covering not only the 4 movies and maybe just a little bit of the young Indiana Jones, but I did promise Professor Brady Specs that I wouldn't too elaborate into it. So we'll just get a kind of, go with the flow on that. But we are going to talk about our impressions and what we hope to see from Indiana Jones 5, A Dial of Destiny. And I'm looking forward to that. I really would like to know what people think is going to happen in the movie because it'll be approximately 2 months and 2 days after I do my chat that it comes out on June 19th. So, and then, I'm usually there for all your chats if I can be. And also, I'm always try to be a staple of the Jet Nerdy with John DeMarco on Saturday, and they're going to do an AQOT, I think, this next Sunday over there. Question
Okay.
of Track. So yeah, so keep an eye out for that. Usually Saturday, the Jet Nerdy's at 9 p.m. Eastern, and
Is that on your channel?
yeah, it's on John DeMarco's channel.
If you can stick to your channel, I appreciate it.
Oh, sure. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Thank
So
you.
like I
Sorry.
said, all things. No, that's okay. So all things Indiana Jones. That's coming out this Wednesday, May 17th, 8 p.m. Eastern, right after 8. So come on by, talk about anything involving Indiana Jones or
Very
whatever your
cool.
impressions and opinions are. So that's me.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
And I'm a little slow here.
Okay,
And
I just wanted to quickly mention
go for it.
it's my birthday today, and Pop was so
Oh, I thought it was
gracious to.
Monday.
It is
Oh, but
Monday.
happy. Oh my goodness, that's right. I'm
This
so
is Monday the
my
15th.
mind. I'm so sorry. My mind is racked. Happy
I don't
birthday,
think I'm quite that
PvP.
old yet that I'm that senile, but
No, I'm horrible with days. I had to ask. I had to ask somebody yesterday what day it was. I'm so horrible
Oh,
with keeping track.
well,
yeah,
you know what?
my calendar says
It
May
missed me
15th here,
too.
so
Pop
I could be
culture,
wrong.
don't feel bad.
Well,
Anyway,
Okay, so
I
sorry,
just want to.
PvP. I missed it. I'm sorry.
I
Yeah.
just want
So
to
I will
mention
remember
to you,
from here forth that your birthday is exactly 2 weeks after mine. So yes, thank you.
it's May 15th.
So happy birthday, and everybody,
Thank
please say
you.
hello to happy birthday to PvP.
Happy birthday to you.
Oh,
Happy birthday
Today would have
to
been a good
you.
day for you to have a stream,
thank
PvP.
you.
Happy birthday,
Well,
PvP
unfortunately, I have to
man.
work for 9 hours today, and I was
Happy birthday
tired as
to
hell.
you.
I got through
And
the
many
day somehow.
more.
Oh, thank you. It flew by.
Absolutely.
Hey, get this. My boss actually bought
Well,
me
we
a
will
birthday
celebrate your
cake.
birthday tomorrow, won't we?
Yes.
Yes, that's what I wanted to mention. We're going to
Oh,
do
how,
on the horror sci-fi stream, which I guess is more my fault, maybe more fantasy tomorrow night, but we're going to do Jules Verne's Journey to the Center of the Earth film from 1959. And I had not watched it in many, many years, and I watched it over the weekend, and it's actually a really fantastic, fun film. So I think we'll have a good time. I will probably be there about
yes.
90 minutes late because I'm working until 7 tomorrow. But hey, I figure you'll probably be going for at least 90 minutes after that.
Oh,
So
right. Anybody knows my streams know they end up lasting for several hours. So yes,
yeah,
and thank
I
you. And
figured,
yes,
yeah.
tomorrow will be our birthday celebration stream for PvP, right? And we will be showing the original, that is the only good Journey to the Center of the Earth, starring Pat Boone and James Mason. So
You know,
please, everybody, if you can join us, that would be wonderful.
it might be the only great thing Pat Boone ever did. I'm not really a big Pat Boone fan in general, but he's actually really good in that film as an actor. I was kind of shocked, actually.
Yeah, a lot of people were surprised that he didn't do more roles because the movie was successful.
It's unfortunate because I think he's really good in that movie, and I like him a lot more in that movie than I do like his music career. So,
It was
oh,
mostly Christian music. So yeah, if it's not your bag, then yeah.
well, the thing is, he kind of ripped off a lot of black singers too. I think early on in the '50s.
Oh,
So,
that's
yeah.
possible.
Hey, Pop, did Ray Harryhausen do any of the effects in the movie?
No,
Okay.
no,
No,
there's
I think they use
dinosaurs.
mostly blue screen and forced focus and stuff like that. They didn't use any stop motion, from what I remember.
Yeah, I gotta say, there's dinosaurs towards the end of the film, but they're all like practical effects.
That's good.
So that's kind of a
Right.
weak point, but it doesn't really ruin it because it's still such a good story. And I gotta add, one of the great features of the film is Bernard Herrmann did the musical score.
Yes.
And if any of
Yeah.
you know Bernard Herrmann stuff from like Hitchcock and a lot
Hitchcock,
of
yes,
great
many.
sci-fi,
I
yeah,
would never call
Psycho.
the appearance of dinosaurs to be a low level or just
no.
weakness to the
I'm just
movie.
saying
Even though I
compared
haven't
to
seen this movie, I need to see it. I
compared to
have
what
read the book though.
Compared to what Ray
Oh, very
Harryhausen
cool.
would have done, they were kind
So am
of
I.
second rate. Hey, Jill, you gonna watch this film and join us tomorrow?
I'll see if I can.
That would be awesome. I would
Yeah, I know
love
she's
you to
really
watch
busy
it.
on Tuesdays, so
But
we
I
understand.
know,
but
but
happy
if
but I
Jill
do
can
want to say happy
possibly,
birthday.
thank you, Jill. That's nice. But seriously, Jill, it's a great movie. It's a lot of fun. If you can possibly, get the time in to watch it between tonight and tomorrow and join us, that would be awesome, awesomely great. Because we like you on the panel.
We love you. I'm
Yeah, Jill, you're fun. Come on.
Well, yes, I do enjoy the exchange of information and also having fun talking about this cool stuff.
I think you would really like the film too. It's maybe a little more fantasy than sci-fi, but
Oh yeah,
Jules Verne wrote the
Jules
damn
Verne
thing.
was a pioneer of science fiction, so he
Well,
gets to
yeah,
do that.
Jules Verne wrote it, so there is definitely a sci-fi element into it. So yeah, it's really good. And James Mason is fantastic in the film. I gotta say,
Oh yes.
I think James Mason was pretty much at the height of his career in 1959. Pretty much.
Yes, he was.
Oh,
Anyway,
and Canadian Spider-Man in the chat is saying, "I'm thinking about having a bonfire shortly here. Thanks for your support, each of you."
I may join in. I gotta cook some supper. I think I'm gonna cook some burgers.
Oh, that sounds
My
yummy.
Well, my cousin barbecued some food for me on Saturday night. So it's like 2 days, and I got a couple of burgers that he barbecued that I should probably warm up before they get, too raunchy. So I should probably eat them tonight.
Yeah, just make sure you keep them covered PvP in the microwave.
Yeah, they're in the plastic bag, so they should be fine. But
Okay.
yeah,
You don't
yeah,
want them to explode.
I don't like to. Yeah, I don't like to leave.
The wreckage.
Okay, we just lost somebody who'd be just lose.
Also, you're roboting a bit,
Just
and also I think I need to head out. I need to go check on some things. and
Okay.
do some
I
Star Trek
apologize.
watching
Yeah.
and some note taking.
Okay, and all right, and really quick, I was forget it. I was going to plug my channel, but there's no time for that.
Oh, wait a minute! You got to plug
Do
your
it.
channel.
Go
No,
ahead.
no, I can
Yeah.
wait a few minutes.
You guys
Go
are
ahead,
here.
Pop.
You know about my channel, so that's good
Yeah,
enough.
but you might have some new viewers who get to the end
Well-
of the stream and want to hear about your channel.
Well, since Jill is here on the panel, and because I appreciate her and learn so much from her, I asked that if you guys can join us tomorrow at noon Central Time for her. There it is, PvP. I knew somebody was missing.
Yeah,
So
sorry,
if
I
you
hit
could,
the wrong damn button again. Damn it.
that's
Thank
okay.
you.
So tomorrow at noon Central Time, please check us out on Antiderivative Jill's channel for Star Trek, the original series. We're going to be doing Wolf in the Fold. And then tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Pacific time on my channel for my horror sci-fi stream, we're going to be covering Journey to the Center of the Earth in honor of PvP's birthday. And
Thank
then
you.
Wednesday, I usually do with Gorilla's Random Thoughts. I do.
Oops, I didn't mean I was waiting. I was gonna ask to share that afterwards.
Okay, Gorilla's Random Thoughts and myself on Wednesdays we cover Gilligan's Island. Every Wednesday we do 2 episodes, and we're currently on season 2. And then I randomly do an open panel stream called Rumblings from the Lab. I tried to do it last Saturday, but I ran into a few hitches. I had to work late, which sometimes happens. But I will try to have one this weekend. And then I will see you all back next week for the next episode or installment of Lost in Space. In the meantime, go ahead, Gorilla, and share that with us before I show the clip from next week's Lost in Space.
This is gonna be the thumbnail for Wednesday. Oh, I can't even see it.
We see it.
Yeah, we see it. 5 days
Okay. Oh, you can't. I hardly read it though.
And
I
No,
got
I can
Germ
read
saying,
it.
"What would?" Okay.
Oh, I can't read that. You're right. I can't read the
Yeah, it
bubbles.
says well, it's the thing for 5 days to midnight. The thing for like their the show. I got Germ saying, "What would you do if you find out that you're gonna be murdered in 5 days?" And I put the one answer that I seen the guy do when he won the lottery, was gonna win the lottery: cocaine and hookers. And Germ says, "We're talking 5 days, not 5 minutes."
And I must add, as being an old movie buff, that's actually based on a movie called DOA. The original was Edmund O'Brien, and it was later remade, I think, with Quinn. What's his name? I
That's
can't
a
remember
great
now.
film.
Right,
DOA is
DOA.
awesome.
Right, and the guy who played from doesn't matter. We don't want to talk about that. But yeah, DOA, a great classic movie. Okay, so with that, everybody, thank you in the chat. You guys really mean a lot to me. You guys are wonderful tonight. Thank you for voting and for being here and spending time with us. And most of all, thank you everybody on the panel. I appreciate everything you guys have said and contributed to the stream. I love your perspectives and all the different angles. You guys are very smart, and that's why, like I said earlier, I consider you guys like another family. And with that, we're going to go out with, if I have my ducks in a row, I'm going to share a clip from next week's.
Yeah, here we go.
There we go.
Quack, 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 ducks in a row.
All right, everybody. So here's a clip from next week's episode of Lost in Space. And with that, I'll say good night, and I will see you all tomorrow on Jill's channel.
It'll be fun.
You mean we might have visitors? Look! There's another one.
It's positively raining aliens.
Smith's right about one thing. Before long, there'll be thousands of them down here.
What happens when they decide they need a human for a specimen?